Hey truckers, today we're seeing part 3 of the Library of the Gods. Let's dive into the video. After inviting Zhang Xian out for dinner yesterday, they ended up meeting with Shangbin. For him, the grandson of an elder and a high-level teacher of the academy, to be pummeled to such a state, it would be bizarre instead for him not to seek vengeance. However, since the academy bans private duels between teachers in its compounds, could it be possible that the fellow sent someone else to intentionally mask himself so as to assault Zhang Xian here? It is no wonder that Xin Bairu would think so. After all, Yao Han's dress-up is way too bizarre. A thick layer of white cloth covers his entire face, revealing only his eyes. At a glance, the impression he gives others is of one unwilling to reveal his true identity. Furthermore, he refuses to answer upon being questioned. Thinking about it now, the reason why Zhang Xian forbade her from following him yesterday was because he knew that Shangbin would be unable to take it lying down. He knew that Shangbin would definitely find someone to take revenge on him. A cold gleam flashes across Xin Bairu's narrowed eyes. She is the cause of this entire situation, so naturally, it isn't right for her to be watching by the sidelines. Do you know the punishment for attacking a teacher in the academy? Attacking a teacher? Yao Han doesn't expect the beautiful lady to ask such a question. He is first taken aback, but he soon recalls the event with Shangbin yesterday. In an instant, realization strikes him. Could it be that you are that Xin Bairu? The cause of Shangbin pummeling him was due to Shangbin getting jealous of Zhang Xian, as the both of them were vying for Xin Bairu's favor. He will never forget this incident even if he is beaten to death. Yet, at this moment, a beautiful lady suddenly pops up and asks him whether he knows that attacking a teacher can result in a penalty. Who else can this beautiful lady be other than her? Looks like she is here to seek vengeance for Shangbin after he pounded her pursuer yesterday. That's right. Xin Bairu puts on a wary expression as her fists clench tightly together. Her aura billows, if you want to avoid any trouble, leave right now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Being a fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle, she exerts intense pressure on others upon releasing her full strength. Impolite? Aren't you here to find trouble with me? What a lousy excuse. Seeing how she is preparing to make a move when the both of them had barely spoken a few words, Yao Han's face darkens to the extremities. As a butler of Bayou City Lord residence, he is a powerful figure in Bayou City. No matter who he meets, they would always show some deference to him. Yet, over here, he was first beaten to a pulp by someone, and now, a lowly ordinary teacher doesn't even show him respect. Rage surges through him. How can he still tolerate it after hearing these words? His complexion darkens as he clenches his fist. Without a word, he charges forward. The moment he makes a move, the rebuke that Xin Bairu is about to direct towards him chokes in her throat. With no other choice, she can only face up to him. Pung pang pang. In a moment, the both of them start crossing blows. Xin Bairu might just be fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle, but she possesses incredible stamina and profound techniques. Furthermore, even though Yao Han's fighting prowess surpasses her, due to his injury, he isn't able to take her down within a short moment. Shang Xiaoye, what did Elder Shang say? Xiaoye young master. On the pavement in the academy, Chao Xiong can't resist the urge to ask the young man walking over. Rest assured. As long as that student of yours did not willingly acknowledge Zhang Xian as his teacher, he is dead meat this time. Shangbin sneers coldly. This morning, Elder Shang ran over to the teacher guild to find Elder Mo and invited him here. As long as he brings Zhang Xian and his student to the Enlightenment Will Tower, the latter's reputation will be ruined and he will be expelled from Hongtian Academy. That's great. The moment Zhang Xian is expelled from the academy, Shen Laoshi would definitely give in to Gongzi's persistence. By then, it would be difficult for her to stay away from you. Gongzi-gentleman. Chao Xiong flatters him with a smile. On. No doubt about it, Shin Bairu was deceived by that lad's flowery talk yesterday, that's why she gave in and had a meal with him. As long as that lad scrams from the academy, I don't believe that my efforts to woo her will remain in vain. The moment Shin Bairu flashes through his mind, self-confidence wells up in Shangbin once again. FIDDEU up TS on NOV/E/LN.com. He is the grandson of an elder, as well as a high-level teacher, not to mention that he is tall and dashing. Regardless of which aspect one is speaking of, he is countless times more outstanding than Zhang Xian. In the entire academy, only he is worthy of an enchanting lady like Shin Bairu. As long as he persists on, who else can she fancy other than him? Then, I will be giving my blessings to Shang Xiaoya to bring the beauty home soon. Chao Xiong quickly follows up with a fawn. Rest assured, if I were to become a couple with Shin Laoshi, I will make sure to reward you greatly. Shangbin wanted to laugh heartily, but the next moment, he accidentally tugs on his wounded muscles and excruciating pain surges through him. Also, other than Zhang Xian, I will not forgive the one who beat me up yesterday, Yao Han. So what if he is the butler of Baiyu City Lord Residence? This is Tianqian Royal City, not a place for him to do as he pleases. That fellow pounded his face in public, leaving him disfigured. How can he possibly forgive him? Naturally. Chao Xiong nods his head. Suddenly, he freezes before quickly pointing forward. Shang Xiaoya, quickly, look. What happened? Shangbin is bewildered. Unable to hold in his curiosity, he turns to take a look. In that instant, his eyes narrow. Isn't that Shin Laoshi? Why is she battling with someone else? That is Yao Han. Right outside Zhang Xian's classroom, the two are fighting intensely. One is the goddess that he thinks of even in his sleep, Shin Bairu, while the other is the person whom he just spoke of, the one who makes him grind his teeth in resentment, Yao Han. The two of them aren't acquainted with one another. Why would they be fighting? Shang Xiaoya, could it be? Shin Laoshi found out that you were beaten up by this fellow, so she felt angered and wanted to take revenge for you? After hesitating for a moment, Chao Xiong suddenly thought of a possibility and comments. On? Is that true? Shangbin is taken aback. Indeed. Otherwise, there is no reason for the two to be fighting one another. Shin Laoshi has a gentle personality and treats others kindly. She doesn't get into fights easily. You should be well aware of that as well. Right after you were beaten up, she gets into a huge fight with him. If she didn't do it for Shang Xiaoya, I can't think of any other plausible reason behind this. To be willing to go so far for you, I dare to confirm that Shin Laoshi has some feelings for you, and very possibly, it could be love. Chao Xiong says. She loves me? Shangbin's body freezes, as a wave of happiness gushes through his heart. That's right, there's no other possible reason for Shin Bairu to fight with that guy. Never would he have thought that this woman, despite refusing his dates and keeping her distance from him, she would actually love him so much and care so much for him. Even going to the extent of battling a Fighter 6 Dan expert despite being at Fighter 5 Dan. This cannot do. I cannot allow her to get injured because of me. Agitation fills his heart. Shangbin feels as though he has been revived and fighting spirit gushes through him. The debt that is the hardest to bear is one from a beauty. The other party has already gone this far. What does he have to hesitate? If he continues hesitating, then he wouldn't be a man anymore. Shin Laoshi, I am here to help you. With a furious roar, Shangbin rushes upwards. Yao Han is in the midst of battling with Shin Bairu. After testing her out for a few dozens of blows, he has already grasped onto the offensive methods of the other party. He is confident that as long as he gets serious, he is able to defeat her within a few blows. Just as he is about to execute his ultimate technique, he hears a shout and Xiang Bin appears before him. As I expected, they are a team. Damn it! Damn it! Seeing his arrival, Yao Han's rage flares up once more. He was suspecting whether the incident might just be a misunderstanding a moment ago, but by the looks of it now, the heck it is a misunderstanding. It is obvious that these two are in it together, and they are intent on finding trouble with him. The more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets. As such, he no longer holds back and strikes down mercilessly upon Xiang Bin. On? Xiang Bin rushes in all of the sudden spiritedly, and in the turn of an eye, he starts crossing blows with Yao Han. Shin Bairu is unable to react to the sudden change of situation. Upon seeing the two of them battle one another, she can't help but to be taken aback. Can it be that I have guessed wrongly, and this man isn't sent by him? The moment such an idea pops into her head, another possibility flashes through her mind and her face darkens. I see, he is trying to kill two birds with one stone. No wonder I found it weird. If this masked fellow wanted to find trouble with Zhang Xian, he could have just rushed in straight. There is no reason for him to be loitering around the entrance. From the looks of it now, it seems that he wants to play out the act of a hero rescuing the beauty so as to attract my attention. Humph. No matter where a beauty goes, she would always attract the attention of males. For her, many have came up with all kinds of methods just to make her spare them an additional glance. This kind of hero rescuing the beauty is one of the lousiest tricks in the book. In such a play, either he would showcase his incredible prowess, or he would allow the other party to bash him up, thus inducing her to feel pity for him. From then on, the pity would slowly give rise to love. In any case, regardless of which, those are doings with purposeful intentions and it incurs her irritation. Upon coming to this realization, Shin Bairu retreats from the circle of battle. Since the both of you are doing it purposely, I won't bother with it then. You can carry on doing whatever you like. Pung ping ping pang. Seeing his nemesis charging in frenziedly, Yao Han gives his all without showing any mercy whatsoever. In just a few moments, the fearless and resolute Xiang Bin is beaten to a pulp once again and fresh blood trickles down his face. Yao Han isn't any better either. Blood permeates through the layers of cloth on his mummy-like face. Such realistic acting. Go on with it, Shin Bairu comments with arms akimbo. Shin Laoshe, help Xiang Xiaoya quickly, he is on the verge of losing. Seeing Xiang Bin beaten to the verge of death, Chao Xiong can't resist stepping forward to persuade her. Being just fighter 4 Dan Pika realm, he pales far too much in comparison to the two who are battling at the moment. He will just be courting death if he interferes in the fight. As such, the only viable solution is to plead with the Shin Laoshe standing before him. Is it all right for me to help him? Seeing the other party's support coming up to her, Shin Bairu sneers coldly. Yes, if you don't save him, Xiang Xiaoya will definitely die. Unable to see through her cold intentions, Chao Xiong hurriedly says. Fine, I will go then. Shin Bairu steps forward. Who? Seeing her walking over to join the fray once more, Yao Han pushes Xiang Bin away with both of his hands, causing the latter to retreat 2 steps. Then, he steps out of the battle and says, very well, I will remember this. Your nobility, as well as the favor the both of you have showered me with, I will make sure to return it in the future. He is wounded at the moment, just Shin Bairu herself is already pushing it for him. Furthermore, even if he is able to defeat the both of them, they are currently in Hongtian Academy. The longer the battle drags on heretofore, the more likely troublesome matters will come his way. If the other party has prepared some scheme beforehand, he might even find himself unable to escape then. Thus, after hesitating for a moment, he decisively chooses to leave. The two of them might have failed to exact vengeance upon him, and the other party has been reduced to quite a pitiful state by him as well, but this grudge has been established. It is just a matter of time before he returns it back to them. After which, Yao Han turns around to leave. In an instant, he disappears from the vision of the crowd. If a Fighter 6 Dan Pishua realm expert were to flee, even Shin Bairu will be unable to catch up with him. Besides, she doesn't have the intention to pursue him either. At this moment, the cold intention on her face deepens. The moment she is about to step in, the other party flees. What does this mean? Simple, it means that the show has come to an end. Naturally, he would have to leave. Shin Laoshi, I didn't expect that you would treat me so well. I understand your intentions. Seeing Shin Bairu charging ahead to save him, Xiangbin is filled with joy. He turns his completely swollen red face over, smiles and strikes a pose that he finds dashing. Actually, I love you as well. Still furious with him, she is curious to see what kind of lousy tricks this fellow would use to attract her attention. Hearing these words, Shin Bairu almost explodes from rage. My intentions? My intentions your head. T/his chapter is up.d by NVEL, bin.co/m. You hoodlum. Shin Bairu spits through gritted teeth. Paw. A slap flies over. What? After mustering his courage to confess, just as he thought the beauty would leap into his embrace, he feels intense pain on his face. Uncontrollably, his body staggers and he knocks onto the metal gate. Xiangbin's eyes spin and he almost faints on the spot. The heck did you slap me for? Didn't you battle with someone else for me? He is almost going crazy. What the heck is going on? Friendly at one moment, furious at the next. Spring at one moment, winter at the next. Did I offend you or what? Gee. Just as Xiangbin's heart has broken down and he is still trying to comprehend the situation, the door to the classroom slowly opens. Zhang Xian walks out and frowns upon seeing everyone else. I am in the midst of my lessons, it is unbecoming for you all to be making a ruckus here. Zhang Xian, you came at the perfect timing. Just as his heart is in the midst of crumbling, upon seeing Zhang Xian's appearance, Xiangbin's rage immediately flurries. Chao Xiong Laoshi has already submitted an appeal to the school, accusing you of using deception to coerce his student, Lu Yang, to become your student. The Academy has already approved the usage of the Enlightenment Will trial, so I advise you to quickly bring Lu Yang over. Enlightenment Will trial? Zhang Xian is puzzled for a moment. Then, recalling the memories of his previous self, he comes to a realization and frowns. Indeed. Right now, I am passing this message to you as a representative of the Education Bureau. If you don't go, that would be disobeying the rules of the Academy, and similarly, you will be fired as well. Xiangbin sneers coldly. He might be unable to defeat Yao Han, and he doesn't dare to say too much to Goddess Shin. Thus, he can only direct all of his wrath onto this trash of a teacher. Zhang Xian Laoshi, don't go. Shin Bairu's beautiful eyebrows knit together. She might not know what tricks Xiangbin has under his sleeves for doing this, but regardless of what, this is definitely a ploy directed towards Zhang Xian. The moment he agrees and a problem occurs with the Enlightenment Will trial, not only will he lose his teaching license, he might even get fired. However, before she can finish her words, Zhang Xian interrupts her with a hand gesture and says, "All right, I'll go." It is true that Lu Yang felt indignant upon becoming Zhang Xian's student before. However, at this moment, Lu Yang is already completely impressed with him. Even if the latter were to tell him to jump off from a tall building to practice movement techniques, he would most probably agree to it without any hesitation. With such level of trust, what does he have to fear from an enlightenment will trial? Given how confident this fellow is, let's see who will be the one to be embarrassed in the end. If you dare not go, I will inform the security bureau in the academy and have them take you. Thinking that Zhang Xian would be resistant to it, Shangbin goes on shouting righteously when the situation finally strikes him. Ah? What did you say? You will go? Zhang Xian doesn't reply. With a faint smile, he turns around and walks to the entrance of the classroom. Lu Yang, come with me. Yes. Lu Yang walks out from the classroom. Not expecting the other party to be so cooperative, traces of hesitation appears on Shangbin's confident face. Shang Xiaoye, don't be worried. This Lu Yang is a student that I brought in specially. I am confident that he wishes to be my student. Chao Xiong says with a suppressed voice. All right. Hearing his guarantee, Shangbin nods his head and walks forward with large strides. Let's go. You. Seeing the young man agreeing so recklessly, Shen Bairu feels anxious. The Enlightenment Will trial is a method of settling disputes when two teachers have fallen out with one another but are still unable to settle the matter. The moment the trial starts, the side that is proven to be guilty of deception will receive a severe punishment. How can such a thing be accepted that easily? No matter what, he should try to push it down and ideally, settle it peacefully. Otherwise, he could be in deep trouble. It's nothing much. Knowing that the other party is worrying for him, Zhang Xian smiles lightly. Without explaining anything, he lifts his leg and follows behind Shangbin towards the Academy's Enlightenment Will Tower. This fellow. Seeing how the young man takes her advice for granted, Shen Bairu is furious and anxious. As a beauty, others would always happily listen to her own words. Yet, not only does this fellow ignore her advice, he charges towards what she is warning him against. Isn't this courting death? One must know that Shangbin's grandfather is the head of the Education Bureau. If he dares to do so, then he must have already prepared a trap beforehand against him. Leaping into misfortune on your own accord, you deserve it if anything happens to you. Shen Bairu stomps her leg furiously. However, after a slight moment of hesitation, she still quickly catches up with the lot. Towards Zhang Xian, she only feels curiosity. Love is not in the equation. However, she is the reason why Shangbin is going against him. No matter what, she can't just stand idly by the sidelines. Elder Mo Xiang. In the lofty Enlightenment Will Tower. Elder Mo, I will be depending on you this time. Elder Shangchen looks at the elderly who is sitting by his side. An elder from the teacher guild, Mo Xiang. Elder Shang, there is no need to be so formal. After all, we are already old friends. Elder Mo Xiang is in his 50s and a sparse gray-colored beard can be seen on his face. Worry not, if this teacher really resorts to coercion and forces others to become his students, I will definitely report it up to the guild to strip him of his teaching license. Sigh, it is negligence on my part. Elder Shangchen shakes his head. With a bewailing look, he laments, when this teacher scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, I gave him an ultimatum. If he doesn't recruit any students, he would be fired immediately. Perhaps due to pressure, he resorted to such means. It is all my fault. He sighs. Elder Shang, you shouldn't blame yourself. Out of sheer kindness, you gave him another chance. Yet, this fellow knows no gratitude and, instead, he chooses to commit such despicable actions. He is truly shameless and vile. Elder Mo's face darkens as he exudes a forceful aura. As a teacher, instead of pondering on how to better nurture others, he spends his time on such underhanded tricks. I would like to see who is the one who gave him the guts to resort to such means. Elder Mo Seong is well reputed for his hatred towards villains and villainous acts. Upon hearing about a teacher coercing the students, he is on the verge of erupting from anger. If it wasn't for Chow Seung-lao's righteousness in reporting the incident to say that his student has been coerced by that teacher, even going to the extent of applying for the Enlightenment Will trial to resolve the issue, I would still be oblivious to all these happenings. With both of his hands behind his back, Elder Shangchen shakes his head continuously. His contemplating eyes are directed towards the empty sky, as though he has committed the world's greatest negligence. If Zhang Xian is here, he would definitely be surprised. This fellow's ability at Zhuangbi is far more superior than him. Zhuangbi acting cool, putting on an act. Although the Enlightenment Will trial wounds the harmony and camaraderie between teachers, it is still worth it if it weeds out the poisonous ones of the lot. Don't blame yourself too much. Seeing his expression, Elder Mo Seong is secretly impressed. Often, a student whom several teachers favor at the same time would appear in the academy. At such a moment, everyone would try to settle the issue privately. This way, not only is the fellowship between colleagues not wounded, order is also maintained in the institution. Only when the problem is truly unable to be settled privately will they apply for such a method to resolve it. Enlightenment Will trial, just as its name dictates, is a test on the heart of the student, allowing him to make a choice based on his true will. However, this means that the relationship between the competing teachers will become totally hostile, thus wounding the harmonious spirit between teachers. This is the reason why in the century since the inception of Hongtian Academy, there are only slightly more than 10 applications for the Enlightenment Will trial. They didn't expect that they would be able to encounter such an incident as well. After feigning contemplation, Elder Shangchen secretly chuckles upon seeing that he has managed to rile up the rage of the other party. He gestures with his hand and passes down an order, "Let them enter." Jia! Immediately after his words sound, the heavy doors slowly open and Zhang Xian, Chao Xiong, Shangbin, Shen Bairu and Lu Yang walk in. Chow Seung-lao, are you the one who has applied for the Enlightenment Will trial? The moment everyone stops in their footsteps, Elder Shangchen asks with raised eyebrows. I beg of Elder to redress my grievance. Chow Xiong cries loudly. This Zhang Xian coerced my student, Lu Yang, who has already acknowledged me as his teacher, thus violating the rules of fair competition among teachers. As such, I specially applied for the Enlightenment Will trial so as to bring Lu Yang justice. At the same time, I hope that the Academy can punish this shameless fellow. Bring justice? Lu Yang is oblivious to what was going on as he was simply ordered to follow the group here. Upon hearing the words of the other party, he finally understands that Chao Xiong is trying to make use of him to deal with his benefactor. As such, he hurriedly sends a gaze towards Zhang Xian, teacher. Before he can finish his words, he sees fluster flashing across the Zhang Laoshi, who was calm and formidable a moment ago in the classroom. Indignantly, he says, Chao Laoshi, you are spouting nonsense. Lu Yang is willing to become my student. I had never coerced him. His voice carries a trace of unconfidence and panic, as though his lie has been exposed. Unable to believe his sight, Lu Yang blinks his eyes. After 2 lessons, he is already completely impressed with Zhang Xian, even to the extent of thinking that he is omnipotent. He feels that becoming his student is a result of fair competition between 2 teachers and that it can be explained easily. How did the situation evolve to such a point all of a sudden? Zhang Xian's eyes are filled with fear and his body trembles slightly, as though he was caught red-handed in the bed with someone else. Lu Yang is unable to make heads or tails of the situation. Which nerve of Zhang Laoshi's brain is convulsing for him to behave like this? Teacher, Lu Yang looks over, but before he can voice out the doubts in his heart, he sees Zhang Laoshi turning over to Harumph. Lu Yang, you better explain it properly. Did I coerce you or not? As he says so, he secretly blinks his eyes. Ah. No, no. Lu Yang hurriedly shakes his head. No matter how dim-witted he might be, it is clear to see that Zhang Laoshi is trying to pull one over the other party. It will do as long as he cooperates with him. The both of them are aware of what is going on, but in the eyes of others, it seems as though Zhang Xian is threatening Lu Yang to say something against his will. Otherwise, why would Lu Yang answer so hesitantly? As expected, upon seeing this sight, Elder Mo's complexion turns slightly awful. You must be Zhang Xian. I will give you one more chance. As long as you obediently cancel the lessons of this Lu Yang and allow him to come under Cao Laoshi's tutelage once more, I can choose not to proceed ahead with the Enlightenment Will trial. Cancel lessons? Zhang Xian scratches his head. Lu Yang has acknowledged me as his teacher out of his own will. It would be unfair to him if I were to push him away. Unfair? Own will? The corner of Elder Mo's lips twitch. Don't you feel embarrassed for saying these words? You are just a teacher who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination. He can't be happier to push away your lessons, yet you speak of unfairness. Where did your self-confidence come from? Just as he is about to continue speaking, he hears Cao Xiong and Shang Bin shouting simultaneously, Elder Mo, this won't do. Why? The Enlightenment Will trial is something very troublesome. The moment it starts, someone has to be punished. Otherwise, if everyone were to follow through with this process, the Academy would be unable to upkeep with the expenditure. Initially, Elder Mo intends to have this incident resolved peacefully. Upon hearing the obstruction of the duo, he turns around and looks at them. Elder Mo, Cao Laoshi has already applied for the Enlightenment Will trial and the Academy has already agreed to it. If it were to stop abruptly at this moment, doesn't this mean that the Academy's rules are being taken lightly? Shang Bin hurriedly says. What kind of joke is this? It wasn't easy for them to set up this situation to push Zhang Xian off the cliff. If they were to settle peacefully, doesn't this mean that all their efforts would be in vain? If so, wouldn't the humiliation he was put under yesterday be in vain? Indeed, Elder Mo. I am also thinking in the stead of the student. I hope that he can follow his own heart and choose the teacher that he favors the most, rather than being coerced into making a choice. Cao Xiong hurriedly says. His words are righteous and emotional. If not for the crimson-red palm print from Shang Bin's slap yesterday, he would surely be able to impress many. All right then. Upon hearing the words of the two, Elder Mo nods his head, no longer holding up the process. Since you all have chosen the Enlightenment Will trial, then naturally, I will have to list the rules out clearly first. After the test is completed, whoever the examinee Lu Yang ultimately chooses to acknowledge as his teacher will be victorious in this trial. Of course, the one who loses will be punished. Thus, let's clarify the punishment first. At this point, the quiet Elder Shangchen surveys the surroundings before saying, this time, Cao Xiong Laoshi has chosen the harshest punishment, that is, upon the end of the trial, the losing side will be expelled from the Academy. Zhang Xian, do you have any objection to it? Upon hearing that it is the harshest punishment, Zhang Xian looks over in disbelief. With a sincere face, he says, there isn't a deep grudge between me and Cao Laoshi to have him expelled. Isn't it going a little too far? Upon hearing these words, Elder Shang and the others freezes. They turn and stare at Zhang Xian as though they are looking at an idiot. Is there something wrong with the head of this fellow? You are the one who is going to be expelled, all right? Follow the latest novels n/Velbin. calm. Humph, regardless of your opinion, you will have to agree to undertake the Enlightenment Will trial. It is already too late to turn back now. Thinking that Zhang Xian is spouting rubbish to reject the trial, Cao Xiong sneers coldly. I am really doing this for your good. I still think that expelling straight away is too harsh. How about this? Zhang Xian hesitates for a moment before saying, why don't we drop with the expulsion? We will just strip the losing side of his teaching license, then add in another 100 god-slaying flogs. Strip teaching license? 100 god-slaying flogs? The crowd blink their eyes simultaneously and stare at one another. Every single one of them feels as though they are going mad. It seems as though the losing side has managed to retain his position so that he won't end up jobless. However, in reality, this is much harsher than a direct expulsion. Are you sure that you didn't misspeak? If one is expelled from the school, at the very least, he would still be a teacher. Even if not in Hongtian Academy, he can still teach at other academies. On the other hand, if one's teaching license is revoked, it would mean losing their identity. No matter where they go, it will remain as a stain on their history and they would suffer from the mocking of others. That's precisely the reason why Elder Shangchen got Elder Mo from the Teacher Guild here. After all, despite being the head of the Education Bureau in Hongtian Academy, he doesn't have the qualifications to strip a teacher of his teaching license. He didn't expect that, before he could even talk about it, this fellow has already brought it up. Furthermore, adding 100 god-slaying flogs into the mix. God-slaying flog is a unique object created specially within Tianqian Kingdom. One's flesh will tear apart and they will feel excruciating pain when beaten by it. Yet, it doesn't hurt their core. No matter how powerful a person is, they would probably be half dead by the time the sentence is completed. Do you find the punishment insufficiently harsh, or do you think that you aren't dying fast enough? Everyone looks at the young man as though he is an idiot. Zhang Xian Laoshi, you. From behind, Shinbairu Laoshi barely managed to avoid fainting on the spot. Are you really unable to tell that this is a trap Shangbin and Cao Xiong specially dug out for you? Their purpose is for you to leap in. Initially, being expelled from the school is already harsh enough. Yet, not only do you not try to push it down, you even raise the stakes up higher. Have you really gone insane? Don't blame anyone else since you are courting death. Harumphing coldly, Cao Xiong looks at Shangchen, who is standing in the middle of the crowd. Elder Shang, I concur with Zhang Laoshi's suggestion. I hope that the Academy can grant our request. Seeing him accept it so readily, Lu Yang slaps his forehead and looks at him with eyes of sympathy. Zhang Laoshi is really evil. He first feigns guilt so as to boost the other party's confidence. After which, he makes use of the situation to up the stakes. Most probably, Cao Xiong Laoshi won't even know what is going on even after he is played to his death. It is fortunate that he became my teacher. Otherwise, my life would be over. Upon recalling how he almost became the student of this Cao Laoshi, Lu Yang shudders and cowers backward. All right then. Since both parties have agreed on the stakes, then let's start the process. Elder Shangchen nods his head. 2 crystal balls, about the size of a watermelon each, are brought forward and placed on a stone pedestal. Completely transparent, they radiate warm light. These are crystal balls made of Will Inquisition stone. Zhang Xian and Cao Xiong, both of you will drip a droplet of fresh blood on one of them each. After which, Lu Yang will touch them and the crystal balls will reflect the true thoughts in his mind in the form of trust level. The one whose trust level is higher, he will emerge victorious. Are there any other questions? Elder Shangchen asks. None at all. Zhang Xian and Cao Xiong nod their heads. The Enlightenment Will trial is actually a simple process. It only involves making use of the Will Inquisition Stone to peer into the innate world of the student. Whichever teacher the student trusts more, that teacher wins. The rules might be simple, but the Will Inquisition Stone is an expensive commodity, not to mention that it is the type of product that is exceptionally rare. Furthermore, it is a single-use consumable. Thus, unless required, the Academy is unwilling to use such means. As for the expenditure required for the process, normally, it is compensated by the losing side. In the eyes of Cao Xiong and the rest, Zhang Xian is just an incapable trash who had scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination. How can it be possible for Liu Yang, a student among the top 100, to become his student willingly? He is bound to lose the moment the trial starts. 7 sit envelb/n. C/m for L test vels. By then, not only will he be expelled from the academy shamefully, he will be bankrupt as well, and his reputation will be in the gutters. Truly killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Let's begin. Seeing that the two have no objections to it, Elder Shangchen gestures with his hand. Zhang Xian and Cao Xiong walk upwards to a crystal ball each and drip a droplet of their fresh blood on the crystal balls. A warm glow radiates and their faces reflect in the Will Inquisition crystal balls. Go! Elder Shangchen says. Liu Yang walks over and places his left and right hands on a crystal ball each. Wang! The crystal balls immediately light up and their radiance envelopes his entire body. The Will Inquisition Stone has hypnotic abilities. The moment one comes into contact with it, one will descend into an illusory realm. In there, all actions done will be a result of one's true will, and no external factors will influence one's will. If one was truly forced to become a student, not only will one not hold any trust towards his teacher, one might even hold feelings of abhorrence towards him. As such, the Enlightenment Will trial is the most straightforward and accurate method to differentiate whether a student is truly willing to acknowledge a teacher. Gazing upon Liu Yang, who had already closed his eyes and descended into the illusory realm, Elder Emosyang slowly says. Indeed, trust level represents the level of trust one holds towards another, and the maximum of which is 100 points. Every 10 points is a demarcation zone and 0 points means an absolute lack of trust. 10 points means slight trust, 20 means average trust. The relationship between a teacher and student tends to be around 30. It is said that the more incredible teachers can make a student's trust in them reach 50. That is considered an extremely fearsome result, and it is extremely rare for such results to appear, even considering the entire Tianqian kingdom. After all, a child's trust towards their parents only hovers around 60 or such. Elder Shangchen strokes his beard as he continues. The conversation between the two is, in fact, telling the others about the concepts behind the Enlightenment Will trial. Humans are thinking creatures and each of them has their own thoughts. It isn't that easy a feat to have one trust in another. Not mentioning others, even one's parents, who have lived with them since young, are unable to reach 100 points of trust. Needless to say, a teacher. Only through long periods of interaction can one's trust level in another slowly rise up. Yet, it has been barely 2 days since the start of school. Furthermore, given Zhang Xian's horrid reputation, how can he induce trust in any of his students? It is clear to see even when thinking with one's toes. Right, Elder Mo, I heard that one of the prerequisites to become a master teacher seems to be the student's trust level. May I know if it is true? After explaining the process, Elder Shangchen remembers something and is unable to hold in his curiosity. He asks. Teachers can be divided into low-level, intermediate level and high-level. Zhang Xian belongs to the bottom category, low-level, whereas Shen Bairu and Shangbin have already attained the ranking of high-level. Most people's journey comes to an end as a high-level teacher. The 2 famous teachers of Hongtian Academy, Lu Sun and Wang Chao, are also at this level. Master teachers are a level above that of high-level teachers. Master teachers aren't just famous for their reputation, they possess their unique insights into cultivation. One can only become stronger under the tutelage of such a person, allowing them to eventually becoming a heroic figure of a territory. Emperor Xinzhui is neither the queen's son or the eldest son. By logic, it is impossible for the crown to be passed down to him. However, it is said that during his youth, he once studied under a master teacher for a few days, causing his strength to increase by leaps and bounds, thus becoming the strongest of the younger generation. Eventually, he even became the #1 expert of the royal family, therefore forming the basis for him to inherit the throne to further the country's greatness. It is the dream of countless people to study under a master teacher. Teachers can only be considered as a lower occupation of the upper 9 paths. However, if one were to become a master teacher, then even among the numerous occupations among the upper 9 paths, they are without a doubt, and indisputably, a member of the #1 occupation. This is especially so, given the occupation's frightening ability to rally people. Even the popular occupations, apothecary, blacksmith, formation masters, aren't able to compete at all. Teachers are known to have innumerable students all over the world. This is even more true for master teacher. It is very possible for any expert one sees or hears of to be his student. The moment something happens, many people will answer to their calls, to the point that even those in authority dare not offend them. It is said that there was once an emperor from a great kingdom who offended a master teacher. With a single call, dozens of Fighter 8 Danzongshi realm experts surged in, and in less than a day the entire kingdom was destroyed. The royal family was completely purged, not a single descendant of their bloodline remains. This is precisely why it is a known fact among cultivators that one can offend anyone, just not a master teacher. Who knows how many students he has? Who knows how many experts there are in their midst? Offending them is equivalent to stirring a hornet's nest. Even if one doesn't die, he will be crippled. Of course, the title of a master teacher isn't that easily attainable. There are many conditions and prerequisites to it, and earning a student's trust rapidly is one of it. Indeed, one of the requirements to becoming a master teacher is to have a student's trust in him exceed 60. This is a standard prerequisite. Otherwise, they won't be qualified. Elder Mo Xiang nods his head. 60, Elder Shangchen can't help but be astonished. This level of trust is equivalent to the position of their parents in the heart of the students. Despite being together for their entire life, the trust level between parents and children are only 60. It is clear to see how difficult it would be for the relationship between a teacher and a student to reach such a level as well. It is no wonder that there isn't a single master teacher in Tianqian Kingdom. The prerequisites are simply too harsh. If Lu Sun and Wang Chao of your academy were to maintain this standard for 30 years or so, there is a possibility of them becoming an associate master teacher. Elder Mo strokes his beard. There's no need for master teacher to do everything by themselves. Sometimes, they would delegate tasks to their assistants to help them. The role of an associate master teacher is just like an apprentice. It is a path one must walk on if they intend to become a master teacher. Associate master teacher? Elder Shangchen gasps in surprise. For them to be able to become associate master teachers, this clearly shows the standards Lu Sun and Wang Chao possess. I wonder what the trust levels the students the both of them are guiding have towards them are, he can't help but ask. Throughout these years, they have garnered quite a positive reputation. Those older students whom they have guided for many years should be able to reach up to 40. However, it will be difficult for it to rise any higher. Elder Mo shakes his head. Being an elder from the teacher guild, he is knowledgeable about the circumstances of many teachers. That's true. Shangchen nods his head. It is difficult to accrue trust and yet, it falls exceptionally easy. Often, it could be torn apart by just a small incident. If that isn't the case, master teacher won't possess such tremendous reputation. I've heard that a genius young lady has appeared in our teacher guild. Despite being just 18 or 19 this year, she has already become a low-level associate master teacher? Upon recalling a news, Elder Shangchen can't resist asking. She's the daughter of our guild leader. She is indeed a talent. Upon bringing up this person, Elder Emo strokes his beard and nods his head in commendation. Associate master teacher can be split into low-level, intermediate level and high-level as well. To join one of their ranks under 20 is a fearsome accomplishment, even considering the fact that she is only a low-level associate master teacher. Incredible! Upon receiving confirmation of the fact, Elder Shangchen nods his head in commendation. He might be the head of the Education Bureau of Hongtian Academy, but in reality, he is just a high-level teacher. He doesn't have the qualifications to become a low-level associate master teacher. After which, Shangchen doesn't go on further on the topic. Instead, he looks at Zhang Xian and Chao Xiong. Elder Emo, how much trust level do you think the both of them will receive? It's best for you to leave now. Leave Hongtian Academy and never come back. Seeing the young man stand there foolishly to await the results of the Enlightenment Will trial, Shen Bairu can't help but to walk forward and direct these words to him with a suppressed voice. In her perspective, Zhang Xian and Shangbin are two people from completely different worlds. If it weren't for her, there is no way the two would mix together. Such a circumstance has arisen because of her. If Zhang Xian were to be beaten 100 times by the god-slaying Flog and have his teaching license revoked, she will definitely feel guilty about his plight. You wish to leave now? It's a little too late. Seeing his goddess showing concern towards another man, Shangbin spits these words through gritted teeth. You don't even show the slightest concern when I am reduced to this state, and yet, you worry about this fellow who scored 0 in the teacher qualification examination. Damn it! Damn it! His face turns savage and he is so angry that he might explode at any moment now. That's right, the Enlightenment Will trial has already begun. You wish to leave? Dream on! Chao Xiong walks forward and reveals a face of enthusiastic savagery. The results are about to be out. By then, you will understand how foolish your actions were. Are you that certain that you will achieve victory? Seeing how confident the other party is, as though the winning ticket is in his hand, Zhang Xian shakes his head and asks. Hee hee. Staring at the young man as though he is a fool, Chao Xiong sneers coldly. Let me tell you the truth then. This Liu Yang was specially invited here by me. I have been living with him for half a month and our trust level should probably exceed 20. What about you? Do you think you are capable of reaching 10 points? After deceiving him over to your side for me forcefully, I think it is very possible for your score to be negative. While 0 means no trust whatsoever, negative means resentment. The greater the resentment, the more negative the number will be. He still clearly remembers Liu Yang's lingering and reluctant gaze when he was pulled away from him. How can someone who has guided a student to go berserk make this proud fellow concede to them? It is very probable for the relationship between the two to still be frosty, so how can Liu Yang not bear any resentment towards this fellow? Hongtian Academy is the #1 academy of Tianxian Kingdom. If a student were to really hold a trust level below that of 10 points towards his teacher will probably become a laughingstock and the event will be known across the entire kingdom. Shangbin laughs mockingly. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Since your reputation is already as bad as it can get, there is no need for you to worry about becoming a laughingstock. You all. Seeing the two of them putting him down, Shen Bairu's angry face flushes pink. Just as she is about to refute them, she notices that the person in question, Zhang Xian, is still maintaining an impassive and calm face towards their insults, as though he isn't bothered by their mocking at all. To tell the truth, Zhang Xian really doesn't care about it. These fellows can talk as much as they can now. When the result comes out in a while, it will be interesting to see them cry. The two of them? T/his chapter is up.d by NVEL, bin.co/m. Hearing Elder Shangchen's words, Elder Mo Xiang hesitates for a moment before deducing, this Lu Yang was recommended here by Chao Xiong Laoshi, so his trust level towards him should be slightly higher. Even so, in my opinion, it should only be around 18 or 19. After all, 20 is a large hurdle to overcome. As for Zhang Xian, if he truly coerced Lu Yang, then it is likely for the trust level to be negative. If the trust level turns out to be negative, Hongtian Academy will be embarrassed. At that moment, I will be depending on Elder Mo. Elder Shangchen says. Naturally. Elder Mo's eyes are bright and stern. As an elder from the Teacher Guild, I will not allow such scum to appear in our midst. If it turns out to be negative, then there is no doubt that Lu Yang has been coerced into acknowledging him. I will report the incident up to the guild and adamantly push for Zhang Xian's teaching license to be revoked. Hearing the other party's promise, Elder Shangchen smiles. Then, his eyes twinkle and he points forward, "Look, the results are about to be out." The moment his voice sounds, the light the two crystal balls are emanating from the center of the room starts to waver and gradually dims. In the Enlightenment Will trial, the person who is involved in the trial has to go through all kinds of illusory realms before they are able to make a choice from the bottom of their heart. At this instant, the fading of the light means that he has already undergone the experiences required for the test, and the results are about to be revealed. 1. Numbers lightly waver into existence on the crystal ball by the left. The results are out. Misfortune is about to befall you. Seeing the numbers slowly floating into existence on the crystal ball, Chao Xiong's excited eyes gleam. This time, not only will he be able to accept Lu Yang back under his tutelage, he will also be able to throw Zhang Xian out and earn the favor of Shang bin Xiaoye. With such a pillar of support, won't his future in the academy be smooth sailing? Xiaoye young master. Probably, in less than a few years, he will be able to rise through the ranks successfully to become a high-level teacher. Just as he is getting excited over the scene playing in his mind, the numbers in the crystal ball finally stop wavering, and they appear before the crowd. His trust level in me definitely exceeds 20. Roaring, Chao Xiong hurriedly turns his attention to the crystal ball. Yet, with a glance, his excitement chokes in his throat and he feels like a duck who is grasped at its neck. His eyes widen to the point that they are about to fall onto the floor. How can this be possible? The results unfolding before him drives him to the brink of insanity. This is something he dares not to imagine. Lu Yang is a student whom he personally invited over. Furthermore, the two even accompanied one another for half a month, giving rise to their close relationship. How can he possibly only hold such a level of trust towards him? The giant numbers on the crystal ball are clear and conspicuous. As though a long sword, it stabs into his heart. 10. Lu Yang's trust level towards him is a mere 10 points. Anything below 10 means a lack of trust. 10 is right at the boundary, but it isn't too far off from it. Just a moment ago, he even narcissistically boasted that the trust level would be at least 20. Yet, the result slaps him hard in his face. Is this the basis of your confidence? Zhang Xian looks over. Chao Xiong fails to catch his breath and almost faints on the spot. I had gone through so much trouble, traveling the distance to find you and bring you over. After which, we even spent so much time together. Yet, how can your trust level be so low? Brother, What is wrong with you? Looking at Lu Yang, the thought of suicide even flashes through Chao Xiong's mind. Where is the trust? Where is the basic trust between humans? Only 10 points? Not only does Chao Xiong feels himself going insane, even Elder Mo and Elder Shangchen can't help but blink their eyes in disbelief. To apply for an enlightenment will trial with just that meager trust level. May I ask, where did your self-confidence come from? If you wish to take a student off the hands of another teacher, you should at least possess unparalleled standing in the heart of the student. Otherwise, you are just making a fool out of yourself. Initially, we thought that his trust level towards you should be able to reach at least 20. Even though it isn't a really high number, it is still within an acceptable range. Yet. The heck, 10? Are you sure that you aren't joking with us? Elder Shangchen's face darkens. An inauspicious omen looms in his mind. One doesn't fear a godly opponent, only a pig-like teammate. It is clear that the pig-like teammate has already appeared. By the side, the corners of Shangbin's mouth twitch and white foam almost spills from it. Before we came here, you declared proudly that Lu Yang would definitely be willing to come under your tutelage once more. With this level of trust, tutelage it was you said? Tutelage your head. The heck? You are trying to fool me, aren't you? So what if his trust level in me is just 10? Lu Yang has a skeptical personality and he doesn't believe anyone easily. His trust level in me might just be 10, but as long as you fail to exceed that, I will still be the victor. A moment later, Chao Xiong recovers and howls at Zhang Xian. Skeptical personality? If he truly has such a personality, then the situation makes sense. Elder Mo nods his head. Humans differ from one to the other. There are a few who are born trusting, while others are born skeptical. No matter how close and amiable a relationship one possesses with him, he can't help but be suspect of them. This has something to do with the situation one grew up in. If one is born in a treacherous place full of schemes, it won't be an easy task to establish trust with them. Based on his judgment, Lu Yang should possess a trust level of around 17 to 18 towards Chao Xiong. Yet, it turns out to just be 10. If it is true that the former has this kind of personality, then everything fits together perfectly. That's right. As long as his trust level towards you does not exceed 10 points, then it is still unknown who the one laughing at the end will be. Shangbin's eyes light up and he nods his head. He decides to place his trust in Chao Xiong once more. Chao Laoshir might not be famous in the academy, and he isn't a star teacher either. However, he has many good reviews. When put against Zhang Xian, it is like the difference between a delicacy and dung, totally incomparable. If the former only has 10 points, the latter is bound to have far worse results. At this point, the crowd continues staring at the other crystal ball. The light has yet to fully fade from it yet, and it is still shrouded in a thin layer of light. Why isn't the result out yet? Shin Bairu frowns slightly. Different illusory realms appear in the tests of the Will Inquisition crystal, so naturally, the time taken for each of them will be different as well. It is normal for some to be faster than the others. Hearing the words of his goddess, Shangbin steps forward and putting on a knowledgeable look, he explains. As the grandson of the head of the Education Bureau, he knows quite a lot more about the Enlightenment Will trial than most of the other teachers. Normally, this kind of acting cool can attract quite a lot of screams, given his dashing looks and extraordinary aura. Just that, it is a pity that the areas around his eyes are bruised black and his face is swollen red. His lips are as though two hanging sausages and he isn't much different from the hunchback from the clock tower. In fact, it seems as though the word dashing has nothing to do with him at all. Then, will the results be better if the test is completed faster, or if it is completed slower? Ignoring his attempt to act cool, Shin Bai-ru continues asking. Of course faster is better. If the trial is completed faster, it shows that the student undergoing the trial trusts his teacher from the bottom of his heart to the point that there is no need to even ponder over his instructions. On the other hand, if the trial takes a long period of time, it means that the student does not trust his teacher, and a negative score could very possibly appear. With his hands behind his back, Shangbin smiles faintly. With a confident look, he says, Shin Laoshi, trust me. I might not have undergone the Enlightenment Will trial, but I have read numerous books regarding it. For Liu Yang to be coerced by Zhang Xian Laoshi to acknowledge him as his master, he is bound to hold some resentment against him. It would be normal for him to score a -10 or so. Just as he is declaring proudly, rationalizing the reason behind the theory out for Shin Bai-ru, he feels a tug on his shirt, interrupting him from his recount on the ending he expects to occur. What are you doing? Shangbin knits his eyebrows together in displeasure. It was hard to him to gain an opportunity to perform before his goddess. Yet, someone just had to interrupt him at such an untimely period. Turning around, it is Cao Xiong. At this moment, Cao Xiong Laoshi's eyes are filled with fear and his body trembles uncontrollably. The confidence he had a moment ago has completely faded. He points forward and says, Shang Xiaoya, look. Xiaoya young master. Looking towards the direction of the finger, the glow from the crystal has finally disappeared without a trace, and a line of numbers has floated to the surface. Why? Could it be that his score isn't a negative? In the midst of his words, Shangbin glances at the numbers that have appeared on the crystal, and in that instant, he almost bites his tongue to commit suicide. Find updates on n/v/elbin.co/m. How is this possible? I don't believe it. Shangbin is about to go crazy. The numbers are clearly displayed on the crystal ball, 64. This means that the level of trust has reached 64 points. A fellow who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination actually managed to get his students' trust in him to reach the level of a master teacher, comparable to that of the trust between a child and his parents. How is this possible? Shangbin looks at Cao Xiong. At this moment, the thought of killing him even flashes through his mind. He feels a stifling sensation in his chest and blood seems to be welling up at the back of his throat. It was difficult for him to find an opportunity to act cool before his goddess. He proudly declared that one's results will get worse as time goes by, only for such a situation to occur. The heck, are you playing with me? Furthermore, Cao Laoshi, can you be a bit more useful? Didn't you say that this student has a skeptical personality? My ass, he has a skeptical personality. How can someone skeptical hold 64 points of trust towards others? Didn't you say that you are confident of winning? 10 points against 64 points. The heck do you intend to win like this? Tears streaming down his face, Shangbin feels a stinging sensation on his face. It feels as though his face has been slapped mercilessly by someone else several times. At this moment, he wishes fervently to find a hole to hide in. 64? Different from the disbelief and mental breakdown of the other two, Elder Emo stands up abruptly and trembles in agitation. This level of trust has already reached the standards of a master teacher. Even for him, it is the first time he has seen such results. A fellow who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination could actually induce such trust from his students? How did he do it? Furthermore, it has just been 2 days since the start of school. Even if this Zhang Xian Laoshi and Liu Yang had stayed together throughout the entire period, at maximum, they could only have 30 hours of interaction with one another. In such a short period of time, to get one's trust level beyond 60. Even the legendary one-star master teacher will find it difficult to achieve such a feat. There are also different tiers to master teachers. 1 star is the lowest of them all. Even so, the prestige and influence they hold are sufficient to drive others insane. The 2 elders, is this considered as my victory? Can't be bothered with the stunned Xiangbin and Chao Xiong. Zhang Xian directs his gaze towards Shang Chen and Mo Xiang. Impossible, there must be a problem with the crystal. Otherwise, how can he have such a high trust level? I will not accept this result. Chao Xiong howls. It is no wonder that he is unwilling to accept it. It is as though a beggar he has been interacting with suddenly turns out to be an emperor. As someone who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, he thought that the results would definitely end up as a negative. Yet, not only is it not a negative, it turns out to be an overwhelming 64, surpassing all teachers within the school. His will can already be considered rather strong given that he has yet to go insane at this point. I also agree with Chao Laosher's words. How can he induce such a level of trust in his students? If it is true, doesn't that mean that even Lu Xun and Wang Chao are incomparable to him? Xiangbin steps forward and says through gritted teeth. Hearing the words of the 2, Elder Mo is about to say something when he sees Lu Yang, who has just completed the trial, walking over to Zhang Xian with glowing eyes that are filled with reverence. This reverence comes from the depth of his heart. There is no way to feign those bright and clear eyes. That gaze is indubitably the gaze that one directs at someone whom he is impressed with. There isn't the slightest impurity in his gaze. With a single look, Elder Mo Xiang knows that Lu Yang truly reveres this Zhang Laosher, and that it isn't a fault with the crystal. Shut up! Knowing this, Elder Mo's face darkens. Cold intentions exude from his glare. The Will Inquisition crystal tests one's heart, forcing them to make the most correct decision in their opinion. Never has a problem occurred with it, and it is impossible for it to malfunction. If you continue on with this nonsense, I will throw you both out. Seeing Elder Mo so angry, Xiangbin and Chao Xiong go mute, not daring to say a single word more. How did you do it? Upon seeing this result, Shen Bairu covers her mouth in shock, unable to believe that such a result is possible. A trust level of 64, even the star teachers of Hongtian Academy who have led their students for several years can't possibly obtain such results. From yesterday, this young man has been bringing her countless surprises. She didn't expect that the surprise today would be even greater. No wonder he is fearless. Looks like he has already known that he would win. Since I have won, should we carry out the terms we had agreed on, stripping Chao Laosher of his teaching license and lashing him with 100 god-slaying flogs? Zhang Xian looks over. Since he started the affair, then he should have realized that the same could happen to him as well. I am a transcender from the modern civilization with a gift pack. Do you think that I will allow an ancient person like you bully me? This Elder Shang Chen is in a dilemma. He had intended to help his grandson vent his anger, yet not only does he fail to vent his anger, he is slapped in the face once more. With an awkward expression, he is at a loss of what he should do. Let's not let things go too far. Zhang Laosher, since you have won, let's just let this matter drop. After a moment, Elder Shang Chen says. Let this matter drop? If I was the one who lost, Elder Shang Chen probably won't be saying such words. Zhang Xian frowns. If he was the one who lost today, it is within expectations that the Education Bureau would pursue this matter to no ends. It would be impossible for him to not be expelled. Yet, now that he has won, he actually wants to try to settle this with just a few words. What kind of joke is this? Audacious! Elder Shang Chen's face darkens. Mind your identity. You are just a lowly low-level teacher who managed to stumble upon some luck that allowed your students' trust towards you to grow rapidly. This is just a one-time exception. Is there anything about it to be gleeful about? If you are truly capable, then raise their cultivation realms before we talk about this matter. You have only earned the trust of a single individual. What significance can this hold? That's right. This Zhang Xian is born with the innate ability to deceive others, but so what if the trust level towards him is high? If I'm not wrong, the reason why the student he had taught previously went berserk is because he had trusted him too much. That's why he was deceived, causing him to regret his entire life. Hearing the chastise, Cao Xiong Laoshi quickly reacts and pushes on. Trust level is just a criterion to evaluate a teacher's standards. It isn't reflective of their true abilities. There is only one way to prove a teacher's capabilities. That is, to make their students' strength grow rapidly. So what if your student trusts you as though you are their parents? If you don't have the ability to guide them along, you still aren't a qualified teacher. Berserk? Elder Mo frowns. Elder Mo might not have heard of it, but this Zhang Xian has once caused the cultivation of his student to go berserk. Due to this incident, all of his students fled from him. That's also the reason why his teacher qualification examination ended with 0 marks. Cao Xiong says with a savage expression. I suspect that the reason why Lu Yang trusts him so much is because he used some special deception methods. Otherwise, how can a fellow who has scored 0 in the teacher qualification examination raise the trust level of a student to be above 60 in just 2 short days? It isn't impossible for the words that they speak of to be true. In the past, there was a teacher that used a special method to delude a student so as to take the examination to become a master teacher. The method he used is similar to hypnotism, causing even the subconsciousness of the student to think that he is worthy of trust. However, these methods are limited by time. After the duration ends, the student's psyche will be severely damaged. Could it be that this Zhang Xian has used a method similar to that? If that's truly the case, it would mean that he doesn't care about the safety of his students at all. Not only is he an unqualified teacher, he would be a criminal as well. A teacher should concentrate mainly on nurturing others. If one were to win the trust of his students, yet not possessing the relevant knowledge to impart to them, his students will only be misguided, causing an even greater catastrophe. That's precisely the reason why no one in or out of the academy trusts him, and why he is unable to recruit many students. His results this term are better than the previous one, but even so, he had only recruited 5 students. Shang Bin interrupts the conversation contemptuously. Only recruited 5 students? That number is indeed a little low. Elder Mo nods his head. Find up Tedovals on n/v/elbin.co/m. Regardless of the number of students I have recruited, and whether I am able to teach my students well or not, this is the Enlightenment Will Tower, and my student and I are here to participate in the Enlightenment Will trial. We have already come to an agreement on the stakes beforehand. Now that I have one, do you all intend to go back on your words? Zhang Xian says. There's no use rambling on about those useless things. The other party is clearly trying to divert the topic after their loss. Audacious! How can a teacher's teaching license be revoked so easily because of a gamble? Aren't you taking this too lightly? Ever since Cao Xiong Laoshi joined our academy last year, he has been working diligently. He has nurtured a fighter to Dan intermediate stage, and innumerable talents joining our ranks had identified him as the teacher they want to acknowledge. He has brought glory and honor to our academy. What about you? You are the only person to have scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination in the 100 years of history of Hongtian Academy. What rights do you have to be spouting nonsense here? Elder Shang Chen flings his sleeves and says, all right, let's just end the matter like that. We will talk about it when you are able to cultivate a student to Fighter 2 Dan intermediate stage and when more students are willing to acknowledge you as their teachers. Elder Shang. Shin Bairu raises her eyebrows. Initially, she didn't intend to say anything, but never did she expect that an elder would actually help Chao Xiong Laosher to cheat. Fury rages in her heart. They shouldn't have made this gamble if they were afraid to carry out the punishment. They were the one who proposed the gamble, and yet now, they are trying to push away the consequences upon losing. Aren't they being too shameless? Shin Laosher, my grandfather is right. No matter what, Chao Xiong is a respectable teacher of our academy. It is making a big fuss to have him expelled over such a minute affair. Besides, firing such a talent is a loss to our academy. Shang Bin says with a bright smile. You are being unreasonable. Shin Bairu's face flushes red. Just like what Zhang Xian said, if he had lost, will you all let him off just like that? What does he count as? Can he be compared with Chao Xiong Laosher? Can he nurture a Fighter 2 Dan student? Can he attract countless students to the academy through his reputation? Shang Bin sneers coldly. Dong dong dong. Before he can finish his words, knocking sounds echo from outside the hall. Is there anything? Elder Shang Chen frowns. Following which, Zhou Laosher, the teacher on duty today, pushes the door open and walks in. Elder Shang, there are people outside seeking an audience. They claim to be clan head Wang Hong and elders of the Wang clan of Tianshan Royal City. The teacher says. Clan head Wang Hong? Hurry up and invite him in. Upon hearing that clan head Wang Hong had come personally, Elder Shang Chen stands up abruptly, his eyes twinkling with enthusiasm. The powers in Tianshan Royal City are complicated. To become one of the 4 great clans and remain standing even after 100 years, their accumulation through the ages and strength is one to behold. In fact, the standing of clan head Wang Hong is in no way inferior to their vice principal. For a person of such standing to pay a visit to him along with the elders of his family, just the honor from the act itself is enough to send him into a frenzy. If word were to spread out, it will definitely add a beautiful and powerful stroke to his reputation and qualifications. Grandfather, I have heard of clan head Wang Hong. He is listed in the potential Zhongsher board and he ranks within the top 10 most influential figures within the kingdom. His cultivation has already reached Fighter 7 Dan pinnacle, just a step off from Zhongsher. Why would a person of such standing pay a visit to you? Shang Bin's eyes shine in excitement, although he still finds the situation before him unbelievable. In Tianshan Kingdom, those who know of the royal family are aware of the 4 great clans as well. Clan head Wang Hong, as the strongest individual in the Wang clan, has already reached Fighter 7 Dan pinnacle and his name spreads far and wide. Normally, it is impossible to fawn on such a person even if one intended to. Yet, today, he specially made the journey to pay a visit to his grandfather. If it weren't for him hearing the news firsthand, it would be hard for him to think of it to be true. Haha, it must be Wang Tao. Elder Shang Chen chuckles. Wang Tao Xiaoye? Xiaoye young master. That's right. Wang Tao is the eldest son of clan head Wang Hong and eventually, he will succeed his position in the Wang clan. Not only did I accept him as my disciple, I even successfully brought his strength up to Fighter 4 Dan Pigra realm. Thinking of it now, the clan head might be aware of my efforts to nurture him, thus, he came here specially to express his gratitude. Elder Shang Chen strokes his beard, indescribable gleefulness can be heard from his words. Wang Tao is his student? Listening to their conversation, Zhang Xian is taken aback. He is aware that Wang Ying's brother was accepted as a disciple by an elder. However, never would he have imagined that the elder would be him. Yes. Shin Bai-ru nods her head, although her complexion is still awful. It would be better for you to expend your energy on thinking of a solution to your problem. Elder Shangchen is obviously against you, and now, he has the Wang clan behind his back as well. In the future, he will be even more domineering. Even if you were to stay in the academy, you will be in for a difficult time. We'll talk about it in the future. Zhang Xian doesn't care about it at all. Even if the other party were to pick against him, he isn't someone that can be bullied so easily. At most, he just has to reveal his strength and settle the matter with strength. After all, with the Library of Heaven's Path which allows him to see through the flaws of others, it is hard to say which one of them will emerge victorious. All West ch.rs on n.o/vli/n/.cm. Seeing the fellow behaving so nonchalantly, Shin Bai-ru stomps her feet furiously. She has been worrying about him, and yet he doesn't care about it at all. How infuriating! Let's go and welcome them. Gleefully, Elder Shangchen hurriedly leads Shangbin and the rest to the entrance of the academy. A personal visit from the clan head of one of the 4 great clans, it would be worth the effort even if they had to welcome him from outside the academy, needless to say, its entrance. If he can strike a connection with them, then it is possible that he might even become a candidate for the position of vice principal for the selection that is going to be held next year. Elder Shang. Before reaching the entrance, a group of 7 to 8 people walks over with widen strides. The one leading the group is a middle-aged man. There is an authoritative tone between his brows. It is clear with one look that he has been in an esteemed position for a long time. The clan head of the Wang clan, Wang Hong. There are a few elderly following behind him, and every movement of theirs exudes the strength of one that is at minimum Pishira realm. Without guessing, it is clear to see that they are the elders of the Wang clan. At the very back, there are 2 youngsters. One of them is Wang Tao while the other one is the grandson of the second elder, Wang Yan, who was just admitted into the academy this year. It is said that he has been admitted as a student of Lu Sun Laoshi. Possessing decent talent, he is favored by him. I am flattered by the personal visit of clan head Wang. If there is any matter, you can always just pass a message to me. Coming over like this, I am very honored. Elder Shangchen hurriedly says. There is no need to be so formal. To tell the truth, I do have a matter that I require your help on, clan head Wang Hong replies with a smile. Clan head Wang, feel free to speak. Elder Shangchen quickly responds. If he is able to do him a favor, then surely he would be able to successfully climb on the massive tree known as the Wang clan. I'm sure Elder Shang has already heard of my youngest daughter, Wang Ying. I've heard that she had acknowledged a teacher named Zhang Xian, clan head Wang Hong speaks slowly. Zhang Xian? Is clan head Wang here to find trouble with him? Shang Bin's eyes twinkle. He almost leaps from the overwhelming elation upon hearing those words. Previously, he saw Wang Tao Xiaoye outside Zhang Xian's classroom, and he knows that Wang Ying was deceived into becoming Zhang Xian's student. It is within his expectations that the Wang clan would not allow such a thing to happen. However, not even in his dreams would he have expected that the other party would make a move so swiftly, even having their clan head to come in person to settle the issue. Clenching his fists tightly, Shangbin roars frenziedly in laughter in his mind. So what if you have won the Enlightenment Will trial? This is the Wang clan, one of the 4 great clans of Tianshan Royal City. Not mentioning how you are the worst teacher of the entire academy, even if a reputable teacher like Wang Chao were to offend them, he will also be in for a ride of misfortune. Given that Shangbin is able to think of such a possibility, naturally, Chao Xiong also arrives at the same conclusion. His entire body trembles intensely in excitement, as though he is afflicted with epilepsy. Shut up! This isn't the place for you to speak. Hearing his grandson interrupt Clan Head Wang's words, Elder Shangchen quickly chastises him. Even though he is the head of the Education Bureau, he has too much work that requires his attention. All he knows is that Zhang Xian has recruited 5 students, but as for who the 5 are, he is completely oblivious to it. As such, he didn't know that Wang Ying is also his student. Don't worry about, Clan Head Wang Hong waves his hand to show that he isn't bothered by Shangbin's interruption. However, halfway through his words, Wang Tao steps forward and shouts, "Father!" "What's wrong?" Clan Head Wang Hong frowns. "That person there is Zhang Xian Laoshi." Wang Tao points. Upon walking into the Hall of the Enlightenment Will Tower, he spots and recognizes Zhang Xian. He is Zhang Laoshi? Looking over, Clan Head Wang Hong's eyebrows shoot up. That's right, this person over here is our academy's Zhang Xian. He never thought that Zhang Laoshi would be so daring to even deceive Wang Ying. A gleam flashes across Elder Shangchen's eyes as he introduces him with a smile. Hee hee. This time, he is in for a tough time. Clan Head Wang is decisive when it comes to killing others. He isn't as law-abiding as us teachers. He deserves it, to dare to even deceive the precious daughter of Clan Head Wang. Aren't his guts a little much too inflated? Seeing Clan Head Wang Hong turning his attention to Zhang Xian the moment he walks into the hall, Shangbin and Chao Xiong laugh heartily in their hearts at his misfortune. Which of those who managed to become a clan head of the 4 great clans aren't vicious? As the academy's worst teacher, he is courting death for trying to coax the daughter of such a person. Just when the two thought that Zhang Xian is doomed this time, an incredulous spectacle suddenly unfolds before them. They only see Clan Head Wang Hong taking 2 steps forward to stand before Zhang Xian. He isn't as angry as they expected him to be, neither does he assault him as they expected him to. Rather, with an excited expression, he bows deeply and carefully. Wang Hong pays his respect to Zhang Xian Laoshi. His attitude makes it feel as though he is paying respect to some great leader, fearful that his abrupt appearance and words will incur the displeasure of the other party. The heck! Surely my eyes are mistaken. How can this be? Shangbin and Chao Xiong spasm simultaneously, and the both of them almost lose consciousness on the spot. What is going on? This isn't how the script should go. Shouldn't Clan Head Wang Hong roar at Zhang Xian upon catching sight of him, then pummel him while he's at it? Why did he suddenly bow, and even pay respect? It might just be a formality, but not even his own grandfather, Elder Shangchen, has the privilege of being greeted like this just now. What rights does a fellow with a score of 0 in the teacher qualification examination have to be entitled to such a greeting? Calm down, Clan Head Wang Hong. Being angry hurts one's liver. The worst teacher in the academy isn't worthy of your wrath. Cough cough. Initially, Elder Shangchen had wanted to play the role of a good person so as to pretend to persuade him otherwise. However, halfway through his words, he sees that sight unfolding before him. In this instant, he feels as though he has eaten a dead rat. His smile freezes on his face and he almost chokes to death on his saliva. Didn't you say that Zhang Xian deceived Wang Ying to become his student? Didn't you say that Clan Head Wang Hong is here to find trouble with him? Can someone tell me, what the heck is going on here? Clan Head Wang, you. Not just the crowd is shocked, even Zhang Xian is slightly bewildered by the current situation. Even if he had taught Wang Ying, there shouldn't be any need for him to specially make the journey to visit him. You treated my daughter's legs and imparted to her incredibly profound knowledge. It is only fitting for me to come in person to show you my gratitude. Clan Head Wang nods his head. The issue with Wang Ying's legs has always been a weight on his heart. Not only did this teacher treat her disability, he even brought about a rise in her strength. His capabilities are already comparable to a master teacher. Before a master teacher, even his identity as the head of the Wang clan means nothing at all. She is my student, so it is natural that I have to guide her well. This is where my responsibility lies, so there's no need for you to be thankful to me. Zhang Xian nods his head. The responsibility of an educator is to impart knowledge, impart skills, and clarify doubts. In his previous life, although he might have just been a librarian in a high school, he was still a member of the teaching faculty. As such, he holds high respect and love towards this occupation. Since Wang Ying is his student, there is no reason for him to feel smug for solving her problems to allow her to cultivate better. Upon seeing the calmness he speaks with, the crowd goes insane once more. This is the head of the Wang clan. It is like a beggar meeting a billionaire. How can he still remain so calm, not anxious in the least at all? This is where my responsibility lies. Good, good. Taking this scene into sight, Elder Emo strokes his beard and he nods his head in approval. As the winds of the world change, the ancient values gradually corrode. In the pursuit of fame and benefits, many teachers have already forgotten their primary objective. It is respectable for this Zhang Xian Laosher to be able to remain true to his core. With this kind of mindset, along with Liu Yang's high level of trust and clan head Wang Hong's commendation and respect, could Elder Shangchen be mistaken? At this point, doubts start to bloom in Elder Mo's mind. Before he came, he had heard many criticisms about Zhang Xian Laosher from Shangchen, causing him to think that he is truly a useless trash who is only capable of deceit, flattery, and bringing harm upon others. However, by the looks of it now, this doesn't seem to be the case at all. However, he chooses to keep his misgivings to himself and continues to watch over the situation. Clan head Wang, please proceed in. As expected of an elder, Shangchen's awkward expression recovers swiftly as he invites the group from the Wang clan to their respective seats. Clan head Wang Hong. Elder Emo clasps his hand. Oh, it is Elder Emo Xiang from the Teacher Guild. What kind of wind brought you here today? Only noticing Elder Emo now, Wang Hong quickly stands up. The Teacher Guild is the #1 guild, rising above that of the Apothecary Guild, Formation Master Guild and many others. Even if the cultivation of the elders in the guild is not comparable to his own, they still aren't people that a mere Wang clan can afford to offend. There is some minor matter that requires my attention. Elder Emo casually replies. Then, with a puzzled look, he gazes over. Even if Wang Ying Xiaojie were to acknowledge Zhang Xian as her teacher, there shouldn't be any need for you to come over personally to pay a visit to him. Xiaojie-Miss/Young Mistress. Who is this person before him? The clan head of one of the 4 great clans, an incredible expert who lords over a formidable power. Even if his daughter has acknowledged Zhang Xian as her teacher, and Zhang Xian had treated the disability that had been plaguing her for a long time, the situation still shouldn't warrant a personal visit on his part. Looks like Elder Emo is still as wise as always. Indeed, I have something that I need to trouble Elder Shangchen for. Clan head Wang Hong nods his head with a smile. Oh. Trouble me? Clan head Wang is too polite. Feel free to speak whatever you need me. As long as it is within my abilities, I will try my best to accomplish it. Hearing that the other party has something to ask of him, Elder Shangchen's self-confidence recovers. He looks at Zhang Xian gleefully as he strokes his beard, putting on an attitude of superiority. You just happened to treat Wang Ying's disability by coincidence, thus impelling clan head Wang to spare you an additional glance. However, if we were to look at the situation carefully, regardless of identity or the ability to nurture others, you still pale too much in comparison to me. Look, clan head Wang has something to ask of me. It's like this. My son has been under your tutelage for these few days and he has been under Shang Laosher's care. I apologize for not coming over personally earlier to express my gratitude to you. With a hand gesture from clan head Wang, an elder walks forward and presents something. This is a token of my appreciation for the concern you have shown my son these few days. Clan head Wang, there's no need to be so polite. Teaching and nurturing the young generation is the duty of a teacher. I dare not accept your present. Elder Shang Chen quickly rejects it. Given that Elder Mo from the Teacher Guild is here, even if he wanted to accept the presents, he would need the guts to do so. Elder Shang's upright character is worthy of admiration. Upon the other party's refusal, clan head Wang Hong waves his hand as he drops the matter. Then, he hesitates for a moment before continuing. Actually, there is something I would like to discuss with Elder Shang today. Recently, my son has been facing some problems in his cultivation. He realized that Elder's lessons weren't compatible with him. So, can you withdraw him from your tutelage? Withdraw from my tutelage? Upon hearing these words, the calm on the surface but gleeful on the inside Elder Shangchen staggers and almost falls down. Withdraw from my tutelage? Why would you want to withdraw from my tutelage all of a sudden? A student withdrawing from a teacher's tutelage is equivalent to slapping him in his face, as this means that the teacher's ability to impart knowledge is subpar. Initially, he thought that clan head Wang Hong was here to delegate some task to him, so he was feeling gleeful about it. In the end, the reason for his visit turns out to be this matter. The heck, if news of it were to spread out, he might even lose his position as head of the Education Bureau. He could very well die from the shame. Indeed. I hope that Elder can fulfill this request of mine. Clan head Wang Hong says. This, Elder Shangchen feels a fiery sensation on his face, as though someone slapped it. He feels like throwing a temper, but at the same time, he dares not to. After hesitating for a long period of time, he squeezes out a smile and says, Clan head Wang, don't worry about it. Since your son has already made his decision, then I will grant his request. After which, he takes the identity jade token from the other party and drips a droplet of his fresh blood on it. Wang! His lessons plan on it has been erased. My gratitude, Elder Shang. Clan head Wang Hong nods his head in satisfaction as he passes the jade token to Wang Tao. There's no need for such words. The relationship between a teacher and a student should be mutual. If he is unable to adapt to my teachings, it is perfectly normal for him to want to withdraw from my tutelage. Just that, may I know which teacher Wang Tao wants to acknowledge after withdrawing from my tutelage? As his heart bleeds, Elder Shangchen squeezes out a smile. Wang Tao is an extremely famous student under his wing. He is an incredible existence that is able to score within the top 10 in the level examinations every year. For such a person to withdraw from his tutelage. Just by thinking about it, he feels like pulling his hair out. At the same time, he is also perplexed. Since clan head Wang Hong is adamant to have his son withdraw from his tutelage, who will he have him acknowledge? He is an elder, as well as the head of the Education Bureau. He might not be the best teacher in the entire academy, but he is considered as a star teacher. There are many people who would squeeze their way to come under his wing. He truly can't think of anyone who could make the head of the Wang clan specially make the journey here to help his son withdraw from his tutelage and switch to that of theirs. Oh, I already have a candidate in mind. Clan head Wang Hong stands up and walks over to Zhang Xian. Courteously, he asks, Zhang Laoshi, is it possible for you to accept my son, Wang Tao, under your tutelage? Can you accept him as your student? What? This shouldn't be happening? To withdraw from Elder Shang Chen's lessons, just to become Zhang Xian's student? Seeing his actions and hearing those words, the entire Enlightenment Will Tower goes deathly silent. Everyone has gone insane. Especially Elder Shang Chen, he almost pukes a mouthful of blood and dies on the spot. Clan head Wang Hong, you must be joking. Withdrawing from my lessons just to come under the tutelage of a fellow who has scored a 0 in his teacher qualification examination? Xiang Bin and Chao Xiong are dumbfounded. The trash teacher whom they had viewed contemptuously before actually made the head of a clan personally step forth to persuade an elder to withdraw his son from his tutelage so that his son could come under his wing. The great heavens and the vast earth, can you be any more unreasonable? However, before the crowd could recover from their insanity, they hear the faint voice of a young man echoing in the room. Visit novelbin.c.m for updates. My apologies, but I refuse. Gudong. Everyone falls to the floor. The heck? Refuse? Brother, are you serious? Xiangbin, Chao Xiong and Shin Bairu tug on their hair, every single one of them on the verge of going mad. The thrill that they have experienced today is much more than what they have experienced in their entire lifetime. Who is Wang Tao? One of the top 10 geniuses in the academy. There isn't a single teacher who isn't vying to pull him under their wing. Back then, Elder Shangchen only managed to rope him in through exploiting his identity as the head of the Education Bureau. A genius like that, accompanied with the personal plea from the Wang clan's head. The hell, you actually refused it? Xiangbin and others feel as though they have just incurred 10,000 damage, and they find themselves unable to catch their breath. Just a moment ago, he just criticized him for being unable to recruit students. Yet, the next moment, the Wang clan's head sends his son over to him. However, what is the most shocking of all is that he refuses to accept him. My heart, my liver. Elder Shangchen feels fresh blood coursing erratically around his throat, threatening to spurt out at any moment. Is there still justice in the world? Is there still law in the world? I am an elder, not to mention the head of the Education Bureau. It is one thing that you withdrew from my tutelage to acknowledge a fellow who scored 0 in his teacher qualification examination as your teacher. The worst of it all is that he refuses to accept. Elder Shangchen feels as though his face has been torn off violently, ground and scattered onto the floor. At this moment, he wishes fervently for a hole to appear in the ground so that he can conceal himself in it. Too embarrassing. Visit novelbin.c.m for updates. He feels as though his dignity has been thrown away all the way to his grandmother's house. Standing by the side, Elder Mo Xiang's eyeballs are also about to fall to the floor. Just a moment ago, his opinion of Zhang Laosher has improved, but by the looks of it now, it seems that it is still insufficient. Refuse? Awkwardness reflects on the face of Wang clan head. He immediately shoots a glance at his son. I beg Zhang Laosher to accept me as your disciple. Wang Tao hurriedly steps forward, kneels on the floor and looks at Zhang Xian with a sincere expression. It is true that he has looked down on this Zhang Laosher before. However, upon seeing his younger sister's legs being healed and an explosive surge in her strength, as well as recalling how his sword was clamped by 2 mere fingers of the other party, he is already impressed with him from the bottom of his heart. I refuse. Zhang Xian waves him away. A student can choose his teacher. Similarly, a teacher can also choose his students as well. Yesterday, this Wang Tao barged into his classroom. Not only was he disrespectful, he even pointed a weapon at him. How can he possibly accept such a student under his wing? Back then, even though Zhaoye had only challenged him verbally, she was still punished to clean the washroom. If a teacher were to not have any dignity, his students will look down on him. If that's the case, how can his guidance bear any results on them? I know that I was rash and I had offended Zhang Laosher, but on the account that I am still immature and ignorant of etiquette, I hope that you will not hold it against me. Knowing the reason behind his refusal, Wang Tao hurriedly speaks. The dignity of a teacher cannot be sullied. After he wielded a sword to attack Zhang Xian, it is one thing for the other party to not to fuss over the matter. Yet, at this moment, he still hopes to be admitted under his tutelage. It is no wonder that his request would be rejected. Indeed, my son is ignorant of teacher's greatness, so he was a little rash back then. I hope that you can forgive, clan head Wang Hong quickly explains. Wang clan head, there is no need to say these. I don't think that this is the reason why Zhang Laoshi refuses to accept your son. At this point, an abrupt voice echoes in the room. Tracing the source of the voice, it came from the one who had just lost in the Enlightenment Will trial a moment ago, Chao Xiong. If it was just a moment ago, with Elder Shang Chen's prestige and standing, he is surely able to annul the punishment for him. If that fails, he can also think of methods to drag the punishment out, allowing the agreement to gradually fade out of view. Yet, at this moment, the clan head of the Wang clan, Wang Hong, came over to beg Zhang Xian. It is very probable that he would be unable to escape the punishment from the Enlightenment Will trial if the situation were to continue on like this. In any case, the situation is already irreversible. There is no need for him to worry about souring his relationship with Zhang Xian even further. On? Hearing someone interrupt his words, clan head Wang Hong's face darkens in displeasure. This Zhang Xian only has the strength of a Fighter 3 Danjinshi realm, whereas Wang Taoxia's current level of cultivation is Fighter 4 Dan Piga realm. Since his strength is unable to match up with him, how can he guide him or give him pointers? The reason why he is reluctant to accept him as his student is because he is aware of it as well. Xiaoye young master. With a savage expression on his face, Chao Xiong roars. Indeed, his strength doesn't even match up to Wang Taoxiaye. To think that he would even consider accepting him as his student, what a joke. Shang Bin immediately reacts and hurriedly adds in. Clan head Wang, please reconsider your decision. It's all right for Wang Taoxiaye to withdraw from my tutelage, but if he were to acknowledge someone whose cultivation realm is lower than him as his teacher, it would be difficult for him to raise his cultivation level in the future. A gleam flashes across Elder Shang Chen's eyes as well. That's right, the Zhang Xian standing before them only has the strength of a Fighter 3 Danjinshi realm. This is a fact well known by everyone in the academy. A Fighter 4 Dan expert acknowledging someone weaker than him as his master, this in itself is a joke. This. Getting, clan head Wang Hong's heart beats. He has heard of Zhang Xian's incredible theories from Wang Ying's mouth, but he doesn't know his exact level of cultivation. Although Wang Tao had attacked him before, as he had never told him about it, he isn't aware of it either. If what the other party says is true, and this Zhang Laoshi only has the strength of Fighter 3 Danjinshi realm, then he is truly incapable of teaching Wang Tao. It is true that a teacher who is knowledgeable in theories can impart them to his student, but only by cultivating it and testing it out firsthand will he have a greater comprehension of it. If the teacher himself has yet to reach such heights, then it is unlikely that he is able to teach them well. This is just like in Zhang Xian's previous life. If the teacher himself is incapable of solving a problem, then how can he teach his student to do it? There are many matters that a teacher is required to be precognizant of so that the student can take note of them while cultivating. Otherwise, no matter how many incredible theories a teacher might wield in their brain, they are just like a reflection of the moon on the lake, unable to come to be of practical use. Zhang Xian, even if you wish to teach Wang Taoxiaye, do you have the ability to? If you don't, stop putting on an act here. With your strength as a Fighter 3 Dan, you might be able to muddle some freshmen who have just entered the academy, but don't dream about doing the same with the older students. Seeing Zhang Xian remaining silent, savagery and excitement gleam in Chao Xiong's eyes. Indeed, clan head Wang. What Chao Xiong Laoshi says makes sense. Zhang Xian himself has yet to break through to Fighter 4 Dan, so it is natural that he is unsure of the method of cultivation at that level. How can he guide a student's Piga realm cultivation like that? Regaining his confidence once more, Elder Shangchen says as he strokes his beard. No, your words are wrong. Hearing the mocking of the crowd, Wang Tao hurriedly stands up to explain. Who says that Zhang Laosher's strength is unable to match up to me? Yesterday, when I unintentionally offended him, I attacked him with my sword using my full strength. Yet, he managed to catch my sword easily with just 2 fingers of his. Such a feat is impossible if he is only at Jinqi realm. Catch with 2 fingers? Haha, Wang Tao Xiaoye, even if you wanted to spare him some dignity, you need to come up with something more believable. Chao Xiong sneers coldly, you are a fighter 4 Dan Peaker realm expert and your strength exceeds 700 kilograms. Furthermore, given the weight and the speed of your blade, even a Pishua realm primary stage expert will find it hard to take it on bare-handed, needless to say with 2 fingers. You can't be trying to tell me that our Zhang Laosher, who scored 0 for the teacher qualification examination, has reached Pishua realm, just like the elders of our school. A sword is light and flexible in its movements, and the full-strength attack of a Peaker realm advanced stage expert is fast as lightning. If the other party isn't well versed in the opponent's swordsmanship and know precisely where the attack is going to land beforehand, even a Pishua realm primary stage expert will find it hard to catch his attack. Yet, Wang Tao actually said that the worst teacher in the academy managed to catch his attack easily. You must be joking. I've seen it too, teacher used 2 fingers to hold his sword in place. Lu Yang explains in a fluster as well. He has seen the situation that day with his own eyes and there isn't any falsehood in his words. However, given his high trust level in Zhang Xian, the moment he says it, it seems as though he is helping him to cover up the lie. Clan head Wang Hong, you are a great clan of cultivators. Ignoring the explanations of the two, Elder Shangchen sneers coldly. Do you think that someone who isn't at Pishua realm intermediate stage is capable of catching Wang Tao Xiaoye's full strength attack? This, clan head Wang Hong hesitates. Catching Wang Tao's attack at full strength with just 2 fingers, this is a feat that average Pishua realm experts will find difficult to accomplish. This Zhang Laosher might have incredible theories, but to reach Pishua realm intermediate stage at such a young age, even he finds it hard to believe. After all, it is too shocking. Wang Tao Xiaoye, I understand that you said those things intentionally to bring up Zhang Xian's reputation because you want him to accept you as his student. However, there is a limit to everything. Sometimes, going too far isn't good. Seeing Wang Hong stumped, Elder Shangchen opens up his arms majestically and speaks with a wise demeanor. Just as he is about to continue chatting casually with clan head Wang Hong and bring up some profound theories to prove that what Wang Tao said was untrue, he hears the voice of the teacher on duty sounding from beyond the room once more. Elder Shang. What's the matter? Elder Shangchen frowns in displeasure. Didn't you see that I am in the midst of acting cool? How can one be so incapable of reading the situation? There is someone outside who is seeking an audience with Zhang Xian Laosher, the teacher on duty says in a fluster. Looking for Zhang Xian? Who? What's going on today? Why is everyone looking for Zhang Xian today? It is, the son of Jinan Wang, by Sun Xiao Wang Ye. The teacher on duty says. By Sun Xiao Wang Yi? Xiao-Young. Everyone in the room is taken aback. This Bai Sun may be young, but he is a martial arts genius. At just 17 years old, he has already reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle, causing his name to spread far and wide in the entire Tianqian city. Emperor Shenjue once commented that it is very possible for him to become the youngest Pishua realm expert in the kingdom. Jinan Wang is preoccupied with guarding the southern borders and thus, he doesn't reside in the capital. As a result, this young Wang Ye doesn't attend classes at Hongtian Academy. However, due to his outstanding results, he managed to be admitted into the even more incredible Beiwu Academy. Beiwu Academy is a school with a 1-star master teacher in it. All those who are able to pass the examination to join its ranks are all famous geniuses. These few days, Jinan Wang returned to Tianjin City to report on his duty. As such, Bai Sun followed him to the capital as well. Just that. What is he doing here, looking for Zhang Xian Laoshi? One is the worst teacher in the academy while the other one is a supreme genius, son of an influential and powerful official. There is no way to compare the two at all. Is it possible for the two of them to know each other? But their social positions are way too different. Hurry, invite him in. Elder Shangchen may not know what is going on, but he dares not to be discourteous to him. As such, he quickly gestures for the teacher on duty to escort him in. Who? After a moment, a white-clothed young man walks in with large strides. There are a few retainers following behind him. They are all equipped with metal armor and their eyes are cold. The young man may not be advanced in age, but he exudes a powerful aura. The might of his entire body radiates as though the sun, exerting an intense pressure upon others. Despite being Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle experts as well, just by the aura itself, it is clear that he is much stronger than Xiang Bin and Shin Bairu. Paying respect to Xiao Wangye. Shang Chen, clan head Wang Hong and the others stand up from their seats at the same moment. The Wang clan may be titled as one of the 4 great clans, but compared to the powerful official who is tasked with the duty of guarding the kingdom's south, they are still lacking. Regardless of when and where, those who are in command of military might are always the ones who have the loudest words. Ah! Master Zhang, you are here indeed. Casually waving them away, he ignores the respectful Shang Chen and the others and scans the surroundings. He suddenly catches sight of a familiar figure and excitedly rushes forward to Zhang Xian. Why are you here? Zhang Xian frowns. Master Lu Chen has asked you to learn from me, but you don't have to be so obedient to really come knocking. My dad will be leaving after he is done reporting on his duty, so I can't remain in the capital for long. Thus, I have to make use of every second to learn from Master so that I can pass the test. Bai Sun explains. Master? How did Bai Sun Xiao Wangye get acquainted with him? Furthermore, they seem to have a close relationship? Isn't his title a teacher? Why did he call him a master instead? Upon seeing that Bai Sun is indeed here to seek Zhang Xian and that the both of them seem to be in a close relationship, everyone is dumbfounded once more. What is going on? They actually know each other. Isn't Zhang Xian a teacher? Master. What does this title mean? Furthermore, Zhang Xian, what's with your attitude? Didn't you see that even Elder Shang and clan head Wang bow upon seeing the young Wangye? Not only did you not bow, you even frowned. Frown your head. Who gave you such guts? Audacious! Elder Shangchen can't hold it in anymore. He walks forward with an intimidating aura. Zhang Xian, how can you speak to the young Wangye like this? Hurry up, bow and pay your respects to him. To think that you would be oblivious to basic etiquette despite being a teacher. Such a lack of propriety, you are truly a disgrace. After which, with a face full of smiles, he turns to Bai Sun. Bai Xiao Wangye, don't get angry. This Zhang Xian possesses weak strength, not to mention that he is clumsy and ignorant of etiquette. Before he can finish his words, he sees Bai Xiao Wangye's eyebrows knit tightly together. A frosty aura appears in his eyes and he seems as though a lion whose hair is standing on ends, ready to strike. Who the heck are you? Scram to the side. Going by seniority, Master Zhang Xian belongs to my grandfather's generation, yet you dare to speak of such words. Are you trying to court death? Grandfather? Gudong! Everyone falls to the floor once more. What the heck is with this method of addressing? Bai Xiao Wangye's father is Jinan Wang, who is a peer of Emperor Shinjue. Yet, you say that his seniority is equal to that of your grandfather. Doesn't that mean that he is of even higher standing than Emperor Shinjue? Elder Shangchen, who was incomparably arrogant a moment ago, trembles uncontrollably, nearly passing out from shock. What the heck is going on? What in the world happened? Especially for Shangbin and Chao Xiong, the both of them feel as though they are going psychotic. Grabbing bunch after bunch of their hair out, their eyes seem as though they are about to leave their sockets at any moment now. Even Elder Mo, who has been watching the situation with composure all along, feels an ache on his chin. Unknowingly, he has torn his beard out. That's right. Grandpa Zhang is a master painter of an era, and his prowess is incredible to the point that even three of me are incapable of matching up to him. Yet, you dare to say that he is audacious and weak? The heck, you must be tired of living. Or perhaps, you are trying to look for a sparring partner? Bai Yang. Bai Sun gestures his subordinate forward. Your humble subordinate is here. Immediately, a middle-aged man steps forward from his back. Slap him. Bai Sun commands. Yes. The middle-aged man wasn't conspicuous in any way when he walked in. However, at this moment, when he lifts his eyelids, a bloodthirsty aura gushes out instantaneously, as though a demon that stepped over 1,000,000 corpses to climb out of hell. He might be the same cultivation realm as Elder Shangchen, the both of them being of Pishira realm, but his aura is much stronger compared to the latter. Supreme Soldier. The hearts of the crowd skip a beat. Such bloodthirsty aura can only be tempered from countless life and death situations. Soldiers possessing such an aura are termed as Supreme Soldiers. Every single one of them possesses unwavering will and incredible prowess, capable of dueling with those who are of higher cultivation realm than them. After leaving everyone flabbergasted by his bloodthirsty aura, the middle-aged man, Bai Yang, dashes forward. In an instant, he appears before Elder Shangchen and sends a slap to him. Paw! A crisp sound echoes throughout the hall. Before Elder Shangchen can even react, he rotates like a top, turning a complete round before falling to the ground. Fresh blood spurts out of his mouth and a dozen of his teeth can be found in a puddle of blood. You! Steadying his figure, Elder Shangchen is on the verge of erupting. As an elder of Hongtian Academy, a Pishira realm expert, to think he would be slapped publicly. However, he can't do anything about it despite being so angry. After all, the other party is the sole son of Jinan Wang, Bai Xiaowangye. If he really dares to do anything to him, Jinan Wang will probably come killing in and flip the entire academy upside down. It is not like he has never done such a thing before. Back then, a person who had backing comparable to the Wang clan went looking for trouble with Bai Xiaowangye and wounded him. This infuriated Jinan Wang and he led his army into their residence and purged their entire household. In the end, not only did Emperor Shinjue not chastise him over the incident, he even conferred his son the title of Xiaowangye to appease him. Otherwise, even though he is the sole successor to the family, he doesn't have the qualifications of being called Xiaowangye. This is all Zhang Xian's fault. The more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets. He can only direct the rage he dares not vent on Bai Sun towards Zhang Xian. If not for this fellow, how could he possibly be embarrassed like this today? Why, are you unhappy with my actions? Seeing his awful complexion, Bai Sun raises his eyebrows and asks haughtily. I dare not to. Elder Shangchen's heart is bleeding, but he still squeezes out these words through gritted teeth. It is best if you dare not to. Let me tell you the truth, I am actually saving you. If my grandpa Zhang were to make a move personally and if he were to fail to control his strength properly, you would be dead by now. Upon this, Bai Sun recalls the spar he had that night and his body shudders subconsciously. What he speaks of is true. This Master Zhang, just by his physical body itself, has a strength of more than 40 ding. What's worse is that he is unable to control his strength. He might not feel anything when he sends a slap over, but you will be gone by then. Save him? Unable to control his strength? Based on Xiao Wangye's words, Zhang Xianlao's strength is superior to Elder Shangchen? How is this possible? Without taking too much time, everyone manages to process the events that just occurred. This is especially so for Shangbin and Cao Xiong, who claimed that Zhang Xian is weak and that Wang Tao is lying. The both of them are unable to believe the situation unfolding before them. In the previous examination, Zhang Xian is confirmed to be only Jinqi Realm Pinnacle. This is something that the entire academy is aware of, and there aren't any news of him breaking through. If so, how can he be stronger than by Xiao Wangye? Furthermore, based on his words, it seems that even Elder Shangchen is incapable of matching up to him. It might be bizarre and unbelievable, but no one thinks that Bai Sun is lying. Everyone knows that not only is Bai Xiao Wangye incredibly talented, he is also fond of competing and sparring with others. He will feel uncomfortable if he doesn't spar a couple of rounds every day. Since he is so in awe of this Zhang Xian, does that mean that he really possesses the strength he speaks of? At this point, every single of them widens their eyes to look at the young man whom they thought was trash previously. There is nothing spectacular about him, except for his white and smooth skin, which makes him look even younger than his actual age. How can he possibly be an expert? Cough cough. Upon seeing the doubtful gazes of everyone else centered on him, Zhang Xian shakes his head helplessly. He is probably unable to hide his true strength any longer. But after scoring at the bottom for the teacher qualification examination as a fighter 3 Danjinshi realm, to become comparable to a Pishira realm expert after a short break. No one will believe it. Is it that difficult to keep a low profile? Zhang Xian feels a migraine working up. He wanted to hide his strength, keep a low profile and secretly Zhuangbi from the shadows. Initially, he thought that Bai Sun is completely unrelated to the academy whatsoever, so no one else here will learn of it. However, never in his dreams did he expect that in just a single night, that fellow would come rushing over. After making such a huge ruckus, it is impossible for him to hide his strength any longer even if he wanted to. Such ill fortune! Just as he is still perplexed over the situation, he sees Bai Sun Xiao Wangye's face popping up right in front of him with a fawning expression on it. He, Master Zhang, Grandpa Zhang, did I settle the matter well? However, he can't blame Bai Sun for behaving like this either. Master Lu Chen has already said it clearly that whether he is able to pass the examination or not depends heavily on him. It is natural that he would intentionally try to please him so as to get in his good books. That's the reason why he woke up so early, and upon hearing that Zhang Xian is here, he barged in along with his subordinates. Still acceptable. Since what's done is done, Zhang Xian can only acknowledge it. Thus, he nods his head. Zhang Laoshi, accept me as your disciple. Aware that Zhang Xian's strength isn't just Jinqi realm, clan head Wang Hong does not hesitate anymore. He signals to Wang Tao with a glance. Wang Tao steps forward once more and kneels before him. Acknowledging Master Zhang as your teacher, who do you think you are? I haven't even acknowledged him yet, and you want to vie with me? How about we spar for a little bit? Before Zhang Xian can even speak, Bai Xiao Wangye glares at him. I dare not. Wang Tao is startled. Even though Bai Sun is around the same age as him, his strength has already reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle. Given that he is several times stronger than him, sparring with him. What's the difference between it and seeking death? Fine, Wang Tao, you can listen in by the side of my class tomorrow. If you perform well, I can consider accepting you as my student. Afraid that this Bai Xiao Wangye will stir up trouble once more and pummel Wang Tao's life away, Zhang Xian immediately interjects. Thank you, Zhang Laoshi. Clan head Wang Hong sighs in relief and hurriedly thanks him. Wang Tao isn't Zhang Xian's student yet, but from the looks of the current situation, this is the only way to settle the situation now. After all, who can he blame for the disappointing actions of his son, barging into the classroom of the other to kill the teacher? No teacher would accept such a student after meeting with such a situation. However, even though he is just listening in by the side for now, as time goes by, as long as he performs well, he is surely able to become an official student. Listening in by the side. Elder Shang Chen is on the verge of tears. He is an elder of the academy, as well as the head of the education bureau. Normally, he is the one picking students out from the lot. It is one thing if someone withdraws from his tutelage to acknowledge another teacher. But he goes on to listen in by the side of the lessons of another teacher instead. Not to mention, the worst teacher of the academy. Elder Shang Chen feels as though his old face is being stepped on repeatedly, and not a shred of his dignity remains. His dignity has been thrown all the way to his granddad's house. Why not his grandmother's house? Because he has already passed by it. Master Zhang, is there anything else that you need me to settle? If so, I will help you. After which, teach me painting. Bai Sun turns to look at Zhang Laoshi. There is still some things I need to settle. Zhang Xian turns to look at Xing Chen, Elder Shang. The results of the Enlightenment Will trial are already out. Isn't it about time we fulfill the terms of the bet we agreed on? The reason why he is here is because of the Enlightenment Will trial. After the trial has ended, many things have occurred, but it is about time for the bet they have decided upon to be carried out. Zhang Xian, there's no need to be gleeful about this. I lost the Enlightenment Will trial, but at most, I will only suffer 100 god-slaying flogs. I'm afraid that you don't have the ability to strip me of my teaching license. Knowing that he is unable to escape from this any longer, Cao Xiong chooses to face it and he walks forward with a ferocious expression. Don't have the ability? Zhang Xian frowns. Indeed. I don't have any bad track records and I didn't cause any of my students to go berserk either. Even though my result in the teacher qualification examination is subpar, it is still a pass. To strip my teaching license just because of a bet, even the teacher guild doesn't have the authority to do so. Cao Xiong howls frenziedly. Is this true? Unsure of the rules and regulations, Zhang Xian looks at Elder Mo doubtfully. He is an elder of the teacher guild, so he should know of these matters. Explore new novels on nvelbai.com. What he says is true. Elder Mo nods his head. A teacher's teaching license is issued after numerous verifications by the teacher guild. If the person in question does not have a bad track record, it is difficult to revoke his license. Is that so? Zhang Xian frowns. He recalls those who are in the education industry in his previous life. Over there, even if a teacher were to be inadequate in their job, the school doesn't possess the right to fire them. In fact, even the Ministry of Education doesn't have the right to do so, unless they have done something that goes against the morals and values of a teacher. It seems that the situation over here is similar as well. Then, why didn't you say so when we were deciding upon the bet? Zhang Xian can't resist asking. Back then, when he was raising his stake, he thought it would be possible for his teaching license to be revoked, so he brought it up casually. If only he knew that revoking one's teaching license is that difficult, he would have just chosen to expel him from the academy. Cough cough, I thought that you would lose. Elder Mo says awkwardly. Not only did Zhang Xian score a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, he had also caused the cultivation of a student to go berserk. If someone were to pursue the matter, it is possible for him to be expelled. As Elder Mo thought that Zhang Xian would definitely lose, he didn't point the matter out. He didn't expect for Cao Xiong to lose so thoroughly to him. It is impossible to fulfill the conditions of the bet unless Elder Mo speaks but hesitates halfway through. Unless what? Unless there is a master teacher or an associate master teacher personally testifying that he is unqualified to remain as a teacher, and the testimonial is reported upwards to the teacher guild, Elder Mo says. Master teacher? Associate master teacher? Where do I look for these? Zhang Xian shakes his head. Regardless of whether it is master teacher or an associate master teacher, they are figures high up in the education circle, so how can it be possible for him to be acquainted with one? Furthermore, even if he is acquainted with one, it is impossible for the other party to bother themselves with such a minor bet. Zhang Xian frowns. At this moment, the teacher on duty, Zhou Laoshi, walks in once more and clasping his hand together, his voice echoes in the room. Shangchen Laoshi, there is a lady outside who has identified herself as Huang Yu looking for Zhang Xian Laoshi. Xiao Yu is here too? Bai Sun's eyes light up. Right after Master Lu Chen tasked them to study under Zhang Xian yesterday, he rushed here early in the morning. If so, how can Xiao Yu lag behind him? In the midst of his words, an elegant figure walks through the doors. Her light yellow top brings out her slim and delicate figure perfectly. Her skin is as white as snow and she doesn't pale in comparison even to Shin Bairu. Paying respect to Zhang Laoshi. The moment she enters the room, she heads towards Zhang Xian and bows deeply. On! Knowing that the other party is here for the same motive as Bai Sun, Zhang Xian's head hurts and he rubs his glabella. Glabella - center of eyebrows. Actually, he knows nothing about painting at all and all he can do is to point out the flaws in them. He doesn't even know where he should start from to teach them about painting. Paying respect to young mistress. Just as he is conflicted over how he should confess this to the other party, Elder Mo walks forward and courteously, he clasps his hands and greets Huang Yu. Young mistress? A thought seems to have flashed through Elder Shangchen's mind, causing a feeling of weakness to grasp his legs, resulting in him stumbling backward. With a face devoid of color, he asks, Could she be the daughter of guild leader Huang of the teacher guild, the genius who managed to become a low-level associate master teacher despite not even reaching her 20s? Just a moment ago, he was still chatting with Elder Mo about the genius in the teacher guild who became a low-level associate master teacher at a young age, and he was thinking about how she is even more incredible than an old man like him. Never in his dreams did he expect her to be this Huang Yu Xiaojie, and from the looks of it, she seems to be close with Zhang Xian. Xiaojie - miss / young mistress. Heavens, what is going on? The moment when he accused the other party of being incapable of imparting knowledge to nurture others, the Wang clan sent their son over to him, even withdrawing him from his tutelage to do so. The moment when he said that the other party is lacking in strength, Bai Xiao Wangye ran out to verify the strength of the other party, claiming that he himself isn't a match for him. The moment when he says that only a master teacher and an associate master teacher can revoke Cao Xiong's teaching license, an associate master teacher comes running over. The heck? Zhang Xian, the heavens must have specially sent you here to deal with me. Elder Shangchen only feels disconsolate and even suicidal thoughts run through his head. Cao Xiong, who was still arrogant a moment ago, pales in fright and cowers backward. A moment ago, he was at least reassured by the fact that the other party would be unable to revoke his teaching license. However, at this instant, he is truly frightened. Isn't he just a trash who scored 0 in the teacher qualification examination? Why does he know so many people? Why do they all respect him? I will not accept this. Cao Xiong grits his teeth and howls frenziedly in his mind. Before today, the other party meant nothing in his eyes. He isn't even qualified to compete with him, yet now. The other party has already become a tall mountain that he can only look up towards. Zhang Bin's teeth are also clattering. At this moment, Zhang Xian seems to have transformed from an ant whom he could crush whenever he pleases into a giant dinosaur. Such a transformation is beyond his wildest imagination. You are an associate master teacher? Hearing Zhang Chen's astonishing words, Zhang Xian looks at the lady in uncertainty. This lass is even younger than him. For her to be an associate master teacher, it is indeed true that one should not judge a person by their appearance. I just happened to catch Lu Shi's eyes, and he brought me in to assist him. Huang Yu smiles. Her words might be humble, but self-confidence radiates clearly from her eyes. Somewhat a shorter version of Lao Shi. To become an assistant master teacher, first and foremost, one needs to have talents surpassing others. Secondly, one needs to be granted an opportunity. Even if you possess overwhelming talent and your ability to guide your students and impart knowledge is incredible, if you are unable to gain the recognition of a master teacher, it is all just empty talk. Huang Yu, as the daughter of Tianqian Kingdom Teacher Guild's head, she had the privilege of going through a good education from young. Furthermore, given the contacts her father possesses, becoming an associate master teacher isn't beyond expectations. It is great that you are an associate master teacher. This Chao Xiong Lao Shi has lost to me in an enlightenment will trial and he refuses to fulfill his end of the bet. Previously, Elder Mo has said that Chao Xiong Lao Shi's teaching license can be revoked if an associate master teacher speaks up for the case. Against those who are out against him, Zhang Xian will not let them off the hook so easily. To think that there would be such a matter. Huang Yu frowns. As a teacher, to hold grudges over such a minor affair, even resorting to using the enlightenment will trial to frame your colleagues, he will only soil the name of teachers if he were to remain as one. Elder Mo. Elder Mo steps forward. I believe that he doesn't have the qualifications to be a teacher. Go and settle the procedures required for it now. Huang Yu says authoritatively. Yes. Elder Mo nods his head. Turning to look at Chao Xiong, he shakes his head. As an associate master teacher, Huang Yu is of esteemed position, not to mention that she is the daughter of the guild leader as well. With just a few words, she has sealed Chao Lao Shi's fate. Those who possess the identity of a teacher are respected no matter where they go. If a teacher is stripped of their teaching license, that can only mean that there is a problem with his conduct. With such a track record, no one would employ him no matter where he goes. Hearing the verdict, Chao Xiong collapses onto the floor, his ashen face shrouds in despair. He has spent so much effort just to attain this teaching license. To think that, it would be revoked just like that. Just because he challenged a trash who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination? I won't accept this, I refuse to accept this. Right, Chao Xiong stands up once more. He looks at Zhang Xian savagely. Zhang Xian, you haven't won yet. You scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination and caused a student's cultivation to go berserk. As long as this matter is reported to the Teacher Guild, after a thorough investigation, you will be stripped of your teaching license as well. Zhang Xian may have scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, but that is actually an internal examination within Hongtian Academy and isn't authoritative. Even so, if the matter is reported upwards to the Teacher Guild, and once the matter is proven to be true, he can be stripped of his teaching license because of it as well. Furthermore, he has a case of a student's cultivation going berserk under his records. Just this itself crosses the bottom limits of a teacher. That's right, Zhang Xian, you need not be gleeful over this. You might have gotten Chao Lao Shi's teaching license revoked, but you won't keep yours for long either. I will report this matter up to the Teacher Guild right now and have them carry out an impartial adjudication on the matter. Upon hearing Chao Xiong's angry roar, Shang Bin's eyes light up and flames start to burn in them once more. The relationship between him and Zhang Xian has already torn asunder. Now that the other party is proven to possess a strong backing, he probably won't be able to live in peace in the academy anymore with him here. Thus, he cannot allow Zhang Xian off the hook. All test NOVL on novelben/.cm. Furthermore, even the goddess is speaking up for him now. If he allows himself to be beaten without making a move, how can he lift his head in the future? Shang Bin glares at Zhang Xian as cold intentions emanate from his gaze. Aren't you incredible? Liu Yang's trust level in you exceeds 60? The Wang clan urges you to accept Wang Tao? Things might be going well for you now, but let's see how you will fare after you lose your teaching license. Let's see what rights do you have to remain in Hongtian Academy and what rights do you have to teach your students. Zhang Xian Laosher's capabilities and morals are indeed doubtful. Associate Master Teacher Huang Yu, Elder Mo, the words that the both of them speak of are true. This Zhang Laosher has driven the cultivation of a student berserk, and he has scored a 0 in the previous teacher qualification examination as well. I hope that the guild can handle this matter impartially and rid the academy of this cancerous tumor. In an instant, Elder Shangchen regains the glow on his face. With a straightened and dignified stature, he speaks. He might not be able to save Chao Xiong, but he will not allow Zhang Xian to get away scot-free either. This. Hearing the howling of the three, Elder Mo and Huang Yu glanced at one another before turning to look at Zhang Xian. If what they said was true, the teacher guild would have to look into the matter. If the results of the investigation were in line with their claims, it was quite likely for this Zhang Laosher to be stripped of his teaching license. Seems like I have underestimated them. They are also skilled at using rules to their advantage. He didn't expect that after suffering so many consecutive blows, they would still be able to make a counterattack. Zhang Xian frowned. It seemed that regardless which world one was in, some things never changed. If a despicable person were to lay their fangs on someone, they could only await their death. To speak of the truth, the mess that his previous self had left him was indeed troublesome to deal with. If the academy didn't bring it up, he would be safe and he could continue on conducting his lessons. On the other hand, if the academy decided to bring it up, they could report it to the teacher guild and he would face the danger of having his teaching license revoked. If he was stripped of his teaching license, his situation would not be any better than Chao Xiong. Thus, no matter what, he mustn't let them succeed. However, it was a fact that he had scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, and he did indeed send a student's cultivation berserk. This was the doing of his previous self, and he was unable to undo it even if he wanted to. That is to say, the mess that his previous self left him with was potentially his downfall. Even if he was able to nurture powerful students through the Library of Heaven's path from today onwards, it would still be difficult for him to become a master teacher and earn the trust of others. He must find a way to resolve the problem. Rubbing his glabella, Zhang Xian felt helpless. His transcension was something he had no power over, and he was unable to decide the timeline where he would transcend into. Besides, if not for the failings of his previous self, he would be unable to transcend over as well. Could he just stand idly as they report the incident up to the teacher guild and have his teaching license revoked? Absolutely not. Aren't I unable to explain the reason behind the sudden surge in my strength? What a coincidence, I can make use of this. Just as he was at a loss of what to do, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind and an incredible idea popped into his head. Looking at Shang Chen and Shang Bin once more, the corners of his lips crept upwards. Since neither of you are willing to leave a path for me, I will be apologizing in advance then. Zhang Xian, aren't you gleeful? Let's see how you can continue being so gleeful after you are summoned to the teacher guild. Sensing Elder Mo and Huang Yu's hesitation, Shangbin laughed in anticipation. However, before his laughter could come to an end, he caught sight of Zhang Xian. His hands were behind his back and he looked over hesitatingly, with dilemma reflected in his gaze. There seemed to be something bothering his mind, and he was contemplating whether he should speak of it or not. Why? You want to beg for mercy? Seeing Zhang Xian behaving in such a manner, exultation filled Shangbin. However, it's too late now. Beg for mercy? Zhang Xian shook his head. You're thinking too much about it. I am just considering whether I should speak of it or not. Sigh. At this point, he sighed. His frustration and pain, as well as sorrow and dilemma, could be felt from his sigh. All in all, it was clear from his sigh that worries plagued his mind and that he was a sorrowful man with a story behind his back. Speak of it? Speak of what? Unsure about what he was up to, Shangbin frowned. Forget it, since that is the case. Ignoring his words, Zhang Xian shook his head. With a bewailing look on his face, he hesitated for a moment longer before speaking. Initially, as colleagues and fellow teachers, for the sake of the reputation of the academy, even if you have done something overboard, I should keep the big picture in mind and let it go. From the looks of it now. At this point, with his hands behind his back, his eyes gazed upwards, seemingly filled with pain. HM? What do you mean? Seeing him sigh and shake his head, the attention of the crowd focused on him. Shangbin and Shangchen exchanged gazes, unsure of what that fellow was up to. What are you putting on an act for? You are about to be fired at any moment now. The fact won't change no matter how superb your acting is. I think he is just intentionally spouting bullshit to divert our attention. Don't be fooled by him. Shangbin harumphed. Scoring 0 for the teacher qualification examination and making a student go berserk were facts about him that everyone in the academy knew. No matter what he did, it was impossible for him to clean the stain off his name. So what if you are eloquent? You are unable to deny these facts. Even if you try to deny it, there are archives of your doings. Let's see how you can round up your story then. Master Zhang, is there something that is bothering your mind? Elder Mo and I are here, so feel free to speak up. Huang Yu said. Indeed. Zhang Xian looked at the other party in commendation as he nodded his head. Putting on an act for so long, what he had been waiting for were these words. Now that she had finally posed the question, he could proceed with the story. Actually, I didn't want to expose this. Zhang Xian shook his head bitterly and a sorrowful expression overlaid his face. Taking 2 steps over to the strength-measuring rock pillar in the center of the hall, he clenched his fist and sent it straight at the pillar. Wang! All west ch.rs on n.o/vli/n/. cm. Light flashed on it and a string of number floated into appearance. 55 ding. He only used half of his strength, but after recultivating the first 3 dawn of his cultivation technique, the Zhenqi in his body became even purer, causing his 49 ding of strength to rise slightly. 55 ding? Pixue Realm Pinnacle? If he possesses the strength of a Pixue Realm Pinnacle, then why does the examination reflect his strength as Zhenqi Realm? Despite hearing from Bai Xiaowangye that Zhang Xian was stronger than him and the crowd had already prepared themselves mentally for it, they were still filled with disbelief upon seeing how much strength he held beneath his fists. Gasps of shock floated in the room as the lower jaws of everyone in the room seemed to be falling to the floor. Fighter 6 Dan Pixue Realm, for every acupoint broken through, 1 strength would be increased by 1 ding. Most people only ended up opening 30 to 40 acupoints in their lives. Even at Pixue Realm Pinnacle, their strength didn't reach such heights. To possess such strength with just a single fist, this clearly showed that he had reached Pishira Realm Pinnacle. But the examination he had undergone before the break clearly showed that he only had the strength of a Fighter 3 Danjinshi Realm Pinnacle. For his strength to jump several realms in the duration of a break. This was impossible. This was unheard of even with the most incredible geniuses in the history of the kingdom. Bewildered, everyone looked at him as they awaited his explanation. During the examination that was conducted before the break, I was only Jinshi Realm. I'm sure everyone is curious to know how I became a Pishira Realm expert all of a sudden. After taking in everyone's reaction, Zhang Xian slowly explained, actually, my cultivation didn't soar within just a week. Just like everyone else, I trained through the conventional method. Even though my strength did not reach 50 ding before the break, I wasn't too far off from it. You already possessed such strength before the break. No, that can't be right. Back then, during the teacher qualification examination, your cultivation realm was evaluated to be. Halfway through his words, Clan Head Wang Hong suddenly paused. A thought flashed through his mind and he continued, Hongtian Academy's teacher qualification examination is held under private conditions, and the results of individual teachers are released by the Education Bureau. One wouldn't know how another fares in the examination other than through the results released by the Education Bureau. That means, the examination results of you possessing the cultivation level of Jinshi Realm from the Education Bureau is not true. Hearing his words, everyone came to a realization. Regardless of whether it was his teacher qualification examination results or his level of cultivation, they were evaluated and released by the Education Bureau. During the examination, no one else was at the scene. That is to say, it was highly possible that the Education Bureau falsified the results. 1. Glabella - center of eyebrows. 2. If a despicable person were to lay their fangs on someone, they can only await their death. Translating literally, if a despicable person were to bite you, their fangs will sink into your bones. It describes the scenario where one is unable to redress themselves of their accusations from another. Before, when I discussed several questions in the teacher qualification examination with Zhang Laoshi, not only was he able to answer them clearly, he was able to come up with 7 to 8 answers for each of them. Furthermore, I was unable to come up with some of the answers he proposed. His comprehensive knowledge is indeed worthy of respect. Back then, I was puzzled over how he was unable to score a single mark in the simple teacher qualification examination. Turns out that, the results being released were falsified. Xin Bairu suddenly recalled something and interjected. Rage could be seen in her beautiful eyes. Yesterday night, she tested Zhang Xian and the other party managed to answer her questions easily. Back then, she thought that it was weird. Now, upon hearing the conversation, she came to a realization. He must have answered those questions correctly, but the Education Bureau didn't give him the marks for it. That was to say, there was nothing wrong with his paper, but the teacher from the Education Bureau marking his paper gave him 0 marks. Why? Why did he do so? It is no wonder that Zhang Laoshi refuses to speak up. After all, you are all colleagues. If he were to reveal the truth, not only will it sunder the relationship among you all, it will affect the reputation of the academy as well. Just for this, he is willing to carry the burden of being labeled as trash. The more Clan Head Wang Hong pondered about the matter, the more he comprehended and came to a realization of the situation. Didn't you see how Zhang Laoshi was hesitating just a moment ago over revealing the truth? If it wasn't for him being forced to a corner, he might very well have concealed this secret deep in his heart for the rest of his life. Even if he was misunderstood by everyone else, he would bear this burden silently within. In fact, despite all of your efforts to oppress him, all he did was to display his cultivation without explaining a thing. We even had to guess the details of what happened. What was an exemplary role model? This was. What was a non-materialistic and noble teacher? This was. Once the issue of the bias of the Academy were to spread out, everyone will start to doubt the authenticity of the results of the Academy's teacher qualification examination, and uncertainty will be cast over the other teachers' ability to teach. If that's the case, the Academy will descend into chaos. He would rather be misunderstood by others and bear the burden of it by himself silently than to speak of it. This magnanimity and selflessness. An elder from the Wang clan got more and more agitated as he spoke. To think that there would be such a noble teacher in the world. It was laughable that we even thought that he was incapable of anything, and that he was a useless trash. As they spoke, the furious eyes of the crowd turned towards Elder Shangchen. Look at him, then look at yourself. You are both teachers, but why was there such a gap between the conduct of you two? Zhang Laoshi valued friendship, and he would rather take all the insults by himself than to betray his own colleagues, yet you all. Shangchen was about to go frenzied. The heck, what was going on? What falsifying results? What value friendship? You were indeed Jinchi realm the previous time, and your written paper is a mess. Not getting a single mark at all was perfectly normal given those standards. I personally reviewed the papers myself, so it is impossible for a mistake to occur. How did it turn into me oppressing you? Zhang Xian, you are really despicable. I dare you to clarify everything up. Elder Shangchen only felt a mouthful of fresh blood swirling in his mouth, ready to spurt out at any moment. Zhang Xian was shocked upon seeing such a commotion break out. Actually, what I meant to say is that the Education Bureau made a mistake while marking the examinations. Why did the situation get so out of control? All of your imaginations are way too wild. However, cough cough. I kind of like the way things are going. There should at least be a reason for me to oppress him. As the head of the Education Bureau, an elder of the Academy, there's no reason for me to oppress a low-level teacher. As expected of the head of Education Bureau, Elder Shangchen swiftly found a dissonance in the situation. There was always a motive and reason behind every action. Given his esteemed identity, there was no reason for him to scheme against an ordinary teacher. Does anything more need to be said about the situation? Your grandson, Shanbin, wishes to aim for the position of the star teacher of the younger generation, but due to the existence of Zhang Laoshi, who possesses an incredible level of cultivation and capability at such a young age, he is unlikely to emerge victorious over him. Thus, in order to prevent such a situation from occurring, you decided to eliminate him from the race. The one who spoke this time was Elder Mo. The more he spoke, the more furious he got, to the point that his beard was being blown into the air by his breath. I might not have concrete proof on this incident, but I have been looking over the situation today from the start to the end. The enlightenment will trial, the bet and the oppression. Shangchen, you are indeed incredible. To think that I was friends with you for so many years, I, Mo Xiang, must truly be blind. Elder Mo viewed villainous acts and villains with contempt. Due to the words of the other party, he made the journey here today to clean up the scums of the teaching circle. Yet, all he saw was Elder Shang using all kinds of methods to oppress Zhang Xian Laoshi. On the other hand, Zhang Laoshi kept using facts to prove his innocence. Wasn't it clear that there was a problem here? If even this much was insufficient to prove anything, then wouldn't that mean that I, Mo Xiang, was blind? I can also testify that I saw Elder Shangchen intentionally oppressing Zhang Laoshi with my own eyes. For him to do it so apparently before us, who knows what kinds of methods he resort to behind our backs. One really can't judge a person by his cover. To think that the head of the Education Bureau would commit such atrocities for his grandson. He is a beast. The moment Elder Mo opened his mouth, many people started to chirp in, indignant in Zhang Xian's stead. Elder Shangchen felt faint-headed and he was on the verge of going crazy. I really didn't oppress him. It's just that he trampled on my dignity today, that's why I am finding trouble with him. If I said that I didn't know much about him before today, only that his standards as a teacher was inadequate, would you all believe me? However, judging by the furious expression of everyone else, he knew that there was no use trying to explain his way out of it. The current him was as though mud had fallen into his pants, it was feces regardless of whether it was true or not. Turning around to look at the one who started all these, Zhang Xian, his hands were still behind his back and a bewailing expression covered his face, as though he was unwilling to reveal the secret. The heck you were unwilling? This was all because of your bullshit. You were the one who were incapable and scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination. Why did it suddenly turn into our education bureau falsifying your results and me oppressing you? How is this incident, in any way, related to me or the education bureau? Find you chapters on nv/lbi.com. Pooh. Unable to suppress it any longer, the fresh blood welling in his chest spurted forth. Humph, to think that you still have to cheek to vomit blood after committing such shameful actions. If it was me, I would have long crashed my head on a pillar to commit suicide. How shameless. How did someone like you become the head of the Education Bureau of Hongtian Academy? Not to mention, he is an elder. There is a problem with his character. I think that we should revoke his teaching license. Upon seeing him spurt blood, not only did no one sympathize with him, their words grew even harsher. How did this happen? Xiang Bin and Chao Xiong were dumbfounded. Just a moment ago, the winning ticket was in their hands and they were about to achieve victory. How did the situation get reversed so suddenly? What the heck was going on? After spurting out a mouthful of blood, Elder Shangchen felt more comfortable and his head cleared up as well. He gazed at the surroundings and his hand trembled. Then, looking at Zhang Xian with undisguised hatred, he said, I am unable to vindicate myself of the claim that you scoring a 0 in the teacher qualification examination is oppression on my part. However, what about the student who went berserk? This incident happened in your classroom. How are you going to explain it then? You might have millions of reasons and excuses, but a student going berserk in your class is an irrefutable truth. Let's see how you will explain that. Getting, Zhang Xian's heart beat. The student's cultivation going berserk was something that had already happened and cannot be changed. No matter how much you try to argue otherwise, no matter how glib your tongue is, it is all futile. Elder Shangchen knew that no one would believe him no matter how hard he tried to explain the incident with the teacher qualification examination. Even if he were to produce the papers, others would just accuse him of falsifying the papers as well. As such, he decided to bring this entire matter out of the way for now. Zhang Xian didn't know how to respond to his words. Humph, are you trying to deny the incident? Baiyu Laoshi, go and invite Zhao Yanfeng from Lu Sun Laoshi's classroom. Elder Shangchen said. Zhou Baiyu was the teacher on duty whereas Zhao Yanfeng was the student whose cultivation was driven berserk by Zhang Xian previously. How did this student end up in Lu Sun Laoshi's class? Upon hearing Shang Chen's arrangement, everyone looked at him in puzzlement, even Zhang Xian was carrying a face of bewilderment. Based on the memories of his previous self, ever since that fellow's cultivation went berserk, he had never been to his class. As his previous self was too ashamed to look into the matter, he didn't know that he had gone to Lu Sun Laoshi's class. Besides, who was Lu Sun Laoshi? Hongtian Academy's #1 star teacher. Even Elder Mo had said that there was a high possibility of him becoming an associate master teacher in the future. There were countless students who wished to come under his tutelage, so why would he pick someone whose cultivation had once went berserk as his student? Upon going berserk, Zhao Yanfeng's fundamentals are damaged and originally, he had intended to withdraw from the academy. However, he was noticed by Lu Sunlaoshi and eventually, he was accepted as his student. After a few months of guidance and nursing, not only is the damage he sustained from going berserk gone, his cultivation has also reached Fighter 1 Danjushi Realm Pinnacle, ready to break through at any moment. Elder Shangchen said. Accepted as Lu Sunlaoshi's student? His luck is way too good. To be able to remove the damage he sustained from going berserk within a short period of time, even inducing a rise in his cultivation level, Lu Sunlaoshi is indeed incredible. Upon hearing Elder Shang's words, the crowd was astonished. Going berserk created great damage to a cultivator, and it was very easy for one's fundamentals to be wrecked in the midst of it. Cultivation was just like building a house. If the fundamentals weren't in place, it was difficult for the building to rise up high. To be able to treat the damage a student sustained from his cultivation going berserk so quickly and even pull him up to Jushi Realm Pinnacle, this Lu Sunlaoshi was indeed as formidable as the rumors put him out to be. Not too long later, the teacher on duty, Baiyu Laoshi, returned with a student behind him. Around 16 to 17-year-old, he had a slim build, but spirited eyes. This was the unlucky student who was taught by his previous self. Zhao Yanfeng. Elder Shang. Walking straight up to Elder Shang upon entering the room, he was bewildered to see so many people in here. Zhao Yanfeng. Do you recognize this person? Elder Shang pointed at Zhang Xian. Zhao Yanfeng turned around and noticed Zhang Xian. His calm face immediately became agitated. Unknowingly, he clenched his fists tightly, as though trying to suppress the rage in his heart. He is my previous teacher, Zhang Xian. These words seemed to have been squeezed out through gritted teeth. Through his actions, it was clear to see that he still held great resentment against Zhang Xian. However, that was to be expected. When a student learns from a teacher, he places his trust in him unconditionally. That was equal to entrusting his fate as a cultivator into his hands. If the teacher didn't take responsibility for him, that would be equal to ruining his student's entire future. His previous self caused the other party's cultivation to go berserk, nearly destroying his future as a cultivator. This made Zhao Yanfeng extremely hostile against him. If it wasn't for his position as a teacher, he might have already made a move on him. I've heard that he had once caused you to go berserk. Is that true? Seeing Zhao Yanfeng behaving in such a manner, delight surged through Elder Shang's mind as he continued to question him. That's true. If not for Lu Sunlaoshi saving me, I might already be a cripple. Zhang Yanfeng said. Great. Upon hearing his confirmation, Elder Shang didn't continue posing questions to him. Instead, he turned to look at Elder Mo and Huang Yu with a savage expression. Associate Master Teacher Huang, Elder Mo, you should have heard the conversation. Let's not touch on the matter of the teacher qualification examination first. I believe that one day, the truth of the incident will come to light. Instead, let's touch on the matter of him causing the cultivation of his student to go berserk. The victim is here, and if you all have any doubts, you all can continue to question him. Despite being a teacher, he harmed his own student. Just this by itself forms the basis for his teaching license to be revoked. Huang Yu and Elder Mo looked at one another with brows tightly knitted together. What the other party said was true. The responsibility of a teacher was to clarify doubts and lead his students down the right path. Causing a student's cultivation to go berserk was one of the greatest taboo a teacher could commit. Even if they wanted to help Zhang Laoshi, there was nothing that they could do. Zhang Laoshi, what else do you have to say for yourself? If you feel indignant, you can argue your way out. However, you will have to get past this Zhao Yanfeng first. Seeing the two of them remaining silent, Elder Shangchen finally felt as though he had returned the humiliation Zhang Xian had caused him back to him. He turned around to look at him mockingly. So what if you were powerful? So what if you have won the Enlightenment will trial? As long as this weakness stays with you, you will lose your teaching license. Without that amulet to protect you, I will be able to do as I please with you. Get latest level CHDRs on NVE/LBJ/N.C/M. Even if I were to kill you, no one will say anything. Elder Shangchen had brought the victim over, and the victim had already ascertained it to be true. The eyes of the crowd gathered onto Zhang Xian to see how he would respond. Just when everyone thought that he would try to explain the situation and the reasons behind the incident, the young man simply shrugged and said, "Indignant? What do I have to feel indignant about? It is true that I caused his cultivation to go berserk. I knew that you would try to argue your way out. However, Zhao Yanfeng will recount the incident back then clearly." Ah. Elder Shangchen thought that the other party would try to defend himself, so he was prepared to refute him. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly came to a realization and looked at Zhang Xian in disbelief. You admit to it? This. To think that you would admit to it so readily. Could it be that he had prepared something beneath his sleeves? He was already frightened of the other party at this point. After getting slapped in his face consecutively, there was already a trauma at the back of his mind. Of course I would admit to it. After all, why would I not admit to something that I have done? Zhang Xian nodded his head. Causing his student's cultivation to go berserk was a doing of his previous self. It was impossible for him to argue his way out of it. Rather than wasting time arguing about it here, he might as well just come out clean. This. The crowd was stunned. His admittance meant that all that was said were facts. If so, the teacher guild would be able to establish this case and strip him of his teaching license. Besides, driving his student's cultivation berserk wasn't something to be proud about. To speak of it so brazenly. Where did your self-confidence come from? It is good that you have admitted to it. Associate Master Teacher Huang, Elder Mo, the both of you should have heard it. As a teacher, not only does he feel no remorse over causing a student to go berserk, he even talks about it so brazenly. Such a person is unworthy of being a teacher. Shangchen roared, but before he could finish his words, Zhang Xian stepped forward and waved his hand. Enough, how big of an issue is this for you to keep babbling on about it? You are already advanced in age, and yet you still get excited over minor affairs so easily. Aren't you worried that your heart might be unable to take it, causing you to die just like this? You. Elder Shangchen staggered. You are the one who gets excited easily, your whole damn family gets excited easily. Zhao Yanfeng, you have been studying under Lu Sun Laosher? You should have improved considerably. Come, show me your punching routine. Can't be bothered with the furious Elder Shang, Zhang Xian turned his gaze towards the young man. Show his punching routine? Upon hearing Zhang Xian's words, everyone became stunned. Everyone is concerned about you causing the student's cultivation to go berserk, and yet here you are, trying to get him to execute a punching routine. What are you trying to do? A peculiar expression appeared on Elder Shangchen's face. Punching routine? We are in the midst of investigating the matter of you driving your student's cultivation berserk. Can you not change the topic? Cough cough, Master Zhang, I think it would be better for you to explain the details behind him going berserk. Perhaps, your teachings may not be wrong, and it is due to some other reasons? Huang Yu couldn't help but to remind him of it. There were many possible reasons behind a person's cultivation going berserk. It could be due to the misguidance of the teacher, or the student comprehending the teachings of his teacher inaccurately and cultivating through the wrong method. If it was the latter, the teacher was still partly responsible for the incident, but it wouldn't come down to a punishment as harsh as stripping him of his teaching license. This teacher here, back then, I cultivated based on the method Zhang Laoshi imparted me without changing a single bit of it. In the end, my cultivation still went berserk. After which, when I consulted Lu Sun Laoshi about it, he said that the cultivation method is wrong and that one's cultivation would definitely go berserk if one were to cultivate according to it. Aware of her thoughts, Zhao Yinfeng said. He still carried deep hatred towards Zhang Xian. Knowing that this was an opportunity to strip him of his teaching license, there was no way he would allow it to slip by him. Master Zhang. Upon hearing the victim say such words, there were no other possibilities that Huang Yu was able to come up with to absolve him from blame. As such, she could only look towards him helplessly. Try executing a punching routine. Let me see if you have improved. Ignoring the persuasion of the other party, Zhang Xian continued to gaze at the young man. Do as Zhang Laoshi says, try executing a punching routine first. Upon his insistence, even though Huang Yu was perplexed over what he was trying to do, she still turned around to instruct Zhao Yinfeng so. Yes. He might not know of Huang Yu's identity, but judging from how respectful Elder Shangchen treated her, Zhao Yinfeng dared not disobey her instructions. Nodding his head, he walked to the center of the hall. Hoo-hoo! The wind whistled along with his forceful fists. That fellow might be young, but the control over his strength was not bad and he was adept in his battle technique as well. He could be considered a good bud. Not bad, looks like Lu Sun Laoshi has really rid him of the damage he sustained when he went berserk. It is truly not bad for him to possess this level of strength at such an age. Most of those who were in the room were experts on cultivation. Upon seeing Zhao Yinfeng's punches, they nodded their head in approval. Elder Shangchen secretly sneaked a glance towards Zhang Xian. Since Zhang Xian was the one who instructed Zhao Yinfeng to execute his punching routine, he thought that he would be carefully analyzing his punching routine so as to come up with an excuse for himself. Yet, this fellow had closed his eyes, and a tranquil expression appeared on his face. What is he up to? Check new Oval CHDers at novilbin.com. Question marks appeared on Elder Shangchen's head. It couldn't be that this fellow knew that he would be unable to find any evidence or excuse to absolve himself of blame and go insane. Is this enough? Very quickly, the punching routine came to an end. Upon seeing that the Zhang Laoshi that he hated had his eyes closed, not even looking at his punching routine, Zhao Yinfeng was on the verge of erupting from the accumulated rage as he spat out these words through gritted teeth. On. Zhang Xian opened his eyes. All right, let's stop wasting time. Since you have already admitted to causing Zhao Yinfeng's cultivation to go berserk with your guidance, and he himself can testify for it, then why don't you just confess to your crime? This way, we can skip on a lot of trouble. Afraid that the situation would go awry the longer this was dragged on for, he said. Calm down. Zhang Xian interrupted his word. Sweeping the surroundings with his gaze, he said, since all of you are interested in listening to my explanation, then I will explain the incident to you all. Everyone's attention jolted and focused on him, curious to hear what he would say. Even Zhao Yinfeng couldn't resist turning his gaze over. Actually, I intentionally drove his cultivation berserk. Zhang Xian's voice echoed in the room. Ah. Intentionally? Everyone stood dumbfounded in their spot. What kind of joke was this? There's no way to go back once you say such words. You will surely be stripped of your teaching license like this. Ha ha. Elder Shangchen didn't expect that the fellow before him, after making so many mysterious and baffling actions, would actually confess to it so brazenly, even phrasing his words in such a manner. His eyes radiated with excitement. It is good that you have confessed to it. As a teacher, to intentionally guide a student erroneously and putting him in danger, you have truly transgressed beyond what a teacher should ever do. If he isn't stripped of his teaching license, it will be hard to appease the furious masses. Associate Master Teacher Huang, Elder Mo, there should be no problems this time, right? Huang Yu stared at Zhang Xian helplessly. His admittance left her without a single means to help him. Just as she was about to speak, she saw Zhao Yinfeng clenching his fist tightly and gritting his teeth. He glared at Zhang Xian with undisguised hatred reflecting in his eyes as he said, "I wonder how I offended Zhang Laoshi for you to find the need to push me off the cliff? I am your student, but you intentionally guided me erroneously, causing my cultivation to go berserk. What kind of resentment do you hold against me?" Everyone else seemed to have thought of the same point, and one by one, their gazes turned towards Zhang Xian. Clan head Wang Hong was also starting to contemplate whether having his daughter and son to come under the tutelage of this teacher was a correct choice. So what if his theories were profound and he was proficient in teaching others? What if he suddenly threw a temper and intentionally taught them erroneously? If so, the lives of his children would be doomed. A fighter one Dan going berserk could still be saved. However, the more advanced one's cultivation was, the harder it would be to save them when their cultivation went berserk. Ignoring the gazes of the crowd, Zhang Xian placed his hands behind his back and the gaze of one who was unable to comprehend the world reflected in his eyes. Sighing, he lamented, "Sigh. Looks like you have yet to understand." Understand? A dark line appeared across Zhao Yinfeng's face. If it wasn't for his weak strength, he would have dashed forward to bash him. Understand what? You intentionally drove my cultivation berserk and you still expect me to understand? Understand what? Understand death? Do none of you really comprehend? Zhang Xian looked at Huang Yu, Elder Mo, and the rest of the crowd. Comprehend? The one sentence left the two of them dumbfounded. You intentionally guided someone erroneously. What did you expect us to comprehend from that? Comprehend. How you played your student to his death. All right, since none of you can tell, then allow me to explain. Zhang Xian shook his head. Sweeping the faces of the crowd, he said, "I wonder if any of you have heard of the physique known as innate sealed meridians?" Innate sealed meridians? Huang Yu frowned. Then, recalling something, she said, "I have heard of it. This isn't an innate body type, but a type of disability. Those who possess this type of physique have many points of constrictions along his meridians. As though a river blocked by silt and mud, Shinqi is unable to flow through them easily. Even if one is able to cultivate, there would be a limit to their achievements. Fighter 1 Dan would normally be their upper limit, and Fighter 2 Dan is an impossible goal for them." Hearing this explanation, the crowd nodded their heads. Innate sealed meridians might be a rare physical condition, but there were cases of it. As teachers and leaders of powerful factions, most of them have heard of such a physique. Zhang Laoshi spoke of innate sealed meridians. Can it be? Mo Xiang Laoshi suddenly thought of something and he turned to look at Zhang Xian with widened eyes. Indeed, Zhao Yinfeng possesses this kind of physique. Zhang Xian nodded his head. Me? I possess innate sealed meridians? Zhao Yinfeng was unable to believe it. That is impossible. I have never felt shackled when I cultivate, so how can I be afflicted with innate sealed meridians? Never felt shackled? Zhang Xian looked over with a meaningful smile on his face. Then, let me ask you, before your cultivation went berserk, did you feel short of breath when you cultivated in the past? Every time you gather spiritual energy, did you feel as though your entire body was being severed apart? You. How did you know? Initially, Zhao Yinfeng did not pay any heed to Zhang Xian's words, thinking that he was just spouting nonsense. However, upon hearing the latter part of his words, his eyes narrowed and his body froze. The words that the other party spoke of were completely true. Before his cultivation went berserk, he did meet with such a problem. Gathering spiritual energy was an exceptionally difficult task for him, and he would feel pain as though his body was ripping apart. All along, he thought it was due him cultivating in the wrong manner. Could it be that it was really due to him possessing innate sealed meridian? It was said that one who possesses innate sealed meridian would feel as though their meridians were shackled, causing their blockages in their breathing. If one were to try to forcefully cultivate, it would generate pain as though their body was being ripped apart. This breathing probably refers to their body. However, he had never told of it to anyone, not even to Zhang Xian when he was his student. In fact, even his parents were oblivious to it, so how did he know it? Upon seeing Zhao Yinfeng's expression, everyone shuddered. Could it be that what he said is true? Stop trying to force logic in here. So what if Zhao Yinfeng possesses the physique of innate sealed meridian? What does it have to do with his cultivation going berserk? Elder Shang Chen harumphed. Innate sealed meridians was a disability that one was born with. There was no way to cure it, and those who possessed such problems were fated to be unable to cultivate. Even if Zhao Yinfeng had this kind of problem, he would only lack the potential to become an expert at most. There was no need to intentionally drive his cultivation berserk. You think that it has nothing to do with it? Zhang Xian chuckled softly. Then, let me ask you, what are the symptoms of one's cultivation going berserk? Going berserk? One's internal energy will go on a rampage and become uncontrollable, causing one to lose his sense of self and going into a deranged condition. At this point, Elder Shang Chen stopped abruptly. His eyes widened into perfect circles in disbelief. It can't be that you are trying to use the symptoms of berserk to break through the constrictions in his meridians so as to dispel his innate sealed meridians? How is this possible? He wasn't the only one who arrived at this conclusion. The others have also thought of it, and their mouth opened wide in shock. When one goes berserk, the energy within their body goes out of control. It was true that one was able to execute strength several times beyond what one was capable of usually, but that was a state of derangement. It was easy for one's cultivation to be completely crippled. No one had tried it, and no one dared to. To actually try to use berserk as a means to overcome innate sealed meridians. Are you for real? If that's true, then you are way too bold. Such a notion will revolutionize the entire world of cultivation. Indeed. Zhang Xian nodded his head. Then, he turned to Zhao Yinfeng and questioned, "Let me ask you, ever since your cultivation went berserk, have you felt the sensation of your body ripping apart whenever you cultivate?" This. Zhao Yinfeng's body trembled stiffly. With a quivering voice, he replied, I haven't. Back then, he felt intense pain whenever he cultivated, as though his body was going to explode. Yet, after he went berserk, he had never felt such a sensation anymore. Previously, he attributed it to Lu Sun Laosher's guidance. Could that really be the case? When going berserk, the internal energy of one flowing through his body will be incomparably violent, allowing them to exert a might beyond what they are usually capable of. Even though it is incapable of resolving innate sealed meridians, it can alleviate the situation, allowing one's spiritual energy to flow through. Back then, when I induced your cultivation to go berserk, I was trying to solve the hidden problems within your body. Initially, I had prepared some steps afterward to allow your cultivation to go on more smoothly, so that you would be able to reach greater heights. Yet, not only did you leave without bidding me farewell, you even viewed me with hostility. At this point, Zhang Xian shook his head and sighed. Solitude reflected in his gaze. Ever since Zhao Yinfeng awakened from his berserk state, he had never visited to Zhang Xian's classroom. Even so, he treated him as his mortal enemy, spreading malicious rumors about him everywhere. Even if Zhang Xian were to seek him, the latter would not have trusted him. Seeing Zhang Laosher's expression, everyone could almost feel the burden and pain he felt in his heart. However, under such pressure, he didn't try to explain himself. Rather, he shouldered it silently, bearing with the mocking of others. In an instant, the figure of Zhang Xian grew massively in their heart. Rubbish, how can that be possible? Besides, even if it was true, if you explained the situation to him clearly beforehand, Zhao Yanfeng wouldn't have left. Elder Shang Chen gritted his teeth. If one was able to control the process, then it wouldn't be called berserk. If I were to inform him of it beforehand, given Zhao Yanfeng's fearful character, do you think that he would be willing to take the risk? Zhang Xian flung his sleeves. One would become uncontrollable upon going berserk. If one knew that they will go berserk during their cultivation, they would start to feel fearful and cower from it subconsciously, making it hard for them to successfully go berserk. No matter how well you put it, you cannot prove that him going berserk had resolved the issue of his innate sealed body. In any case, I don't believe your words. After hesitating for a moment, Elder Shang Chen harumphed. I know that this incident is much too unorthodox and shocking, but it doesn't matter whether you all believe it or not. Zhang Xian turned around to look at Zhao Yanfeng. I've taken a look just now and you have already reached Fighter 1 Dan Jushi Realm Pinnacle. You are just a step off to breaking through. If you were to train normally, how long do you think it will take for you to break through? 6 months. Lu Laosher told me that if I were to put in effort, within half a year, it is possible for me to break into Fighter 2 Dan Dantian realm. He was still a little doubtful to the words of this Zhang Laosher, but his tone had become much more respectful and he answered his question seriously. Mo Laosher and clan head Wang Hong nodded their heads in agreement. They have seen Zhao Yanfeng execute his punching routine previously as well. Given their experience, they could tell that Lu Sun Laosher's judgment was accurate. Zhao Yanfeng's talent could only be considered as average and to be able to break through within half a year could be considered as good progress. Half a year? There's no need for that. I can help you break through within an hour. Zhang Xian looked over. An hour? How is that possible? Read the latest stories and novilbin.com. It is hard to tell whether he is even able to break through within half a year, and you said to help him break through in an hour? This. Hearing Zhang Xian's words, everyone went insane. None of them dared to believe his words. Cultivation, unlike eating or drinking, cannot satisfy one at one go. It has to be done a single step at a time. One can only progress after countless accumulation over time. Even for Zhao Yanfeng, who is already Jushi Realm 1 Dan Pinnacle, if he isn't able to control the spiritual energy adeptly, he is unable to open up his Dantian. This accumulation is an extremely slow process. Without accumulation of experience over time, it is impossible for him to succeed. Yet, Zhang Xian claimed that he is able to do it within an hour? This. Even if you wanted to brag, you shouldn't brag about something so impossible. Be careful of your nose reaching the heavens. Why, you all don't believe me? Ignoring the shocked crowd, the corners of Zhang Xian's mouth crept upwards as he continued gazing at the young man before him. Zhao Yanfeng was hesitant. He felt that what the other party said about him possessing innate sealed meridians was true, but about helping him break through Fighter 1 Dan in an hour. This was like a dream to him. If he was really able to break through Fighter 1 Dan within an hour, then this Zhang Laosher was really way too incredible. That would also mean that his decision to induce his cultivation to go berserk to break through his innate sealed meridian was a success, as well as a correct decision. After all, why would a teacher who could help others break through their cultivation realm so easily lie about such a minor matter? Since he was able to come to this conclusion, others were able to as well. Each of every one of their gazes slowly gathered onto Zhang Xian. I don't blame you for not believing in me. After all, your cultivation have gone berserk once upon listening to my words. Zhang Xian flung his hand and a look of pity appeared in his eyes. However, if you pass by this opportunity, you will need to take half a year, or perhaps even longer. It's your own choice. This. Zhao Yanfeng stood on the spot with clenched fists. After a period of time, he lifted his head and determination could be seen in his eyes. Zhang Laoshi, I want to give it a try. Just as what Zhang Laoshi said, the moment he passed by the opportunity, he would need to take a significantly longer period of time to break through. Once he was a single step behind of others, he would always be a step behind of others. He didn't want to be chasing after the footsteps of others all the time. Full 0W current novels on n/o/v/3l/b in.co/m. He didn't really trust the words of the other party, but with so many teachers here, he doubted that this Zhang Laoshi would cause his cultivation to go berserk once more. Good. I will rejoice over the decision you made. Nodding his head, Zhang Xian's gaze swept around the surroundings before retrieving a box of silver needles. Then, he instructed, sit down with crossed legs. Don't allow your thoughts to wander. I will use the silver needles to help you open up your acupoints so as to increase the speed of your accumulation of spiritual energy. You just have to try to break into the Dantian realm. All right. With his determination resolute, Zhao Yanfeng didn't hesitate for long before he sat down with crossed legs. Zhang Xian walked forward and retrieving a single needle, he placed it into one of the acupoints of the other party. At the same time, a surge of Jinqi gushed in. As he cultivated the Heaven's Path divine art, his Jinqi was as clear as mineral water. The moment it entered the other party's body, the shackles in his acupoints were immediately broken through. The acupoints of an average cultivator were similar to small holes filled with silt, and the murky Jinqi was similar to muddy water. It was impossible to wash their acupoints clean with Jinqi filled with so much impurities. On the other hand, superior Jinqi was equivalent to clear water. While others might not be able to wash their acupoints cleanly even with 2 years of effort, he was able to do it easily. The moment the acupoints were opened, the surrounding spiritual energy immediately gushed in frenziedly. Hoo 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 hoo. With hands as swift as the wind, he consecutively jabbed another 8 silver needles onto the body of the other party. The 9 silver needles opened 9 acupoints on Zhao Yanfeng's body. The spiritual energy that had been flowing like a small stream in his body instantaneously turned into a torrential river and gushed through his body before gathering at his spiritual sea. Boom! Zhao Yanfeng felt as though an explosion had happened in his brain. The withdrawn dantian in his abdomen was broken through in an instant. As though a massive basin, it accommodated all spiritual energy that came flowing in. This. Standing up abruptly, Zhao Yanfeng pressed his palm against the strength-measuring rock pillar not too far away. Boom! 150 kilograms. Fighter 2 Dantian Realm Primary Stage. I. Upon seeing the numbers float into appearance, Zhao Yanfeng was stunned. Initially, he thought that it would take at least half a year for him to successfully advance into the next realm. Yet, with Zhang Laoshi's assistance, he managed to succeed within a few moments. It seemed that it didn't even take an hour. Thank you, Zhang Laoshi. Pada. All of the doubts Zhao Yanfeng had of Zhang Laoshi cleared from his mind and he immediately knelt before Zhang Xian and kowtowed continuously. In this instant, from the depths of his heart, he was convinced that all the other party did was for his welfare. How could a teacher, who was able to help others break through so easily, teach erroneous theories and cause a student's cultivation to go berserk? To think that he doubted such a noble teacher, even insulting him. He was worse than a beast. He must have been blind then to leave this teacher before to acknowledge Lu Sun Laoshi. If a chance presented itself, he would withdraw from his lessons and return back to him. He really broke through? To help a fighter Wan Dan successfully break through in slightly more than 10 minutes. Surely there's something wrong with my vision? How did he do it just by jabbing a few needles? While Zhao Yanfeng was feeling conflicted and remorseful, clan head Wang Hong, Elder Mo and the others who had taken that scene have their eyes widened and mouth agape as they felt the world around them crumbling. They thought that Zhang Xian was just bragging and assumed that it was impossible for him to succeed. Yet, viewing personally what they deemed impossible occurring, the striking visuals left them on the verge of tears. Looking at the other party once again, this time, their eyes were burning passionately. Back then, when they broke through Wan Dan, they had to go through numerous troubles and struggles. Yet, looking at Zhao Yanfeng, he seemed to have taken as much effort as it took to eat or drink. Why didn't they meet with Zhang Laoshi back then? Zhang Laoshi, please accept me as your student. Wang Yan, who came with Wang Tao and the others, walked forward and knelt before him. Back then, he thought that Lu Sun Laoshi was the superior one, and thus, he didn't agree with the decision of the clan head and his grandfather. Yet, upon seeing Zhang Laoshi helping Zhao Yanfeng break through within 10 minutes or so, he was unable to suppress the temptation any longer. On? Zhang Xian blinked his eyes. I know that Yanner's talents are average, but I beseech Zhang Laoshi not to reject him. The second elder from Wang clan walked out. With a face full of smiles, he continued, as long as Zhang Laoshi accepts him, I am willing to be your disciple as well. I'm sure that Zhang Laoshi's name will spread far and wide upon accepting a Pishua realm student, no one will dare to doubt you. Second elder, can you have some decency? To think that you would try to bargain and do a buy one get one free, how shameless. The grand elder flung his sleeves and looked over respectfully. Zhang Laoshi, ignore them. The second elder is lacking in decorum. Cough cough, how about me? I am a Pishua realm pinnacle expert and I would like to acknowledge you as my teacher as well. If you find it inconvenient due to my identity as an elder of the Wang clan, I can always retire. What is there to compete about? Each of you are already old enough to be his grandfather, and yet you still want to acknowledge him as your teacher. Don't you all feel embarrassed? Not expecting the grand elder and second elder to act so shamefully, clan head Wang Hong reprimanded them. Upon being reprimanded of the clan head, the faces of the two flushed in embarrassment. Indeed, they were no longer young and their bone structure have already solidified. It wouldn't be an easy task for them to break through. Wang Tao and Wang Yan turned to look at the clan head in reverence. Do you see that? Our clan head has self-restraint and wits, being able to see through the crux of the problem with a glance. However, before they were done revering him, they saw clan head Wang Hong turning around to look at Zhang Xian with a bundles of smile. Zhang Laoshi, I am still young, just 42 this year. Can I acknowledge you as my master? Zhang Xian. Everyone else. Cough cough, let's talk about the matter of acknowledging masters in the future. In the end, Zhang Xian had to speak up to stabilize the chaotic situation. Turning towards Zhao Yanfeng once more, he asked, do you still think that I caused your cultivation to go berserk because I am incapable of teaching? I beg of Zhang Laoshi to forgive me for repaying your grooming with ingratitude. Zhao Yanfeng hurriedly kowtowed to Zhang Xian. On. Zhang Xian nodded his head in satisfaction. Then, turning around to look at Elder Shangchen, he asked, Elder Shangchen, do you still have anything else that you would like to say? I. Elder Shangchen's face stiffened. He was unable to explain the issue with the teacher qualification examination, and now that everyone believed that Zhang Laoshi sending Zhao Yinfeng's cultivation berserk was to help him, what else could he say? His face was slapped on once more. Furthermore, it was the type that causes a swelling instantly. Impossible, impossible. How can he help others to break through so easily? By the side, Chao Xiong seemed to have gone dim-witted. His eyes were filled with confusion. This Zhang Laoshi had entered the academy at the same time as him, and all along, his results were superior to his. When did he become so incredible? Furthermore, to be able to help others break through so casually, even the elders and principal of the academy weren't capable of such a feat. How did he accomplish it? Chao Laoshi intentionally slandered his colleagues, proving that he is lacking in ethics as a teacher. I will report this up to the teacher guild for them to revoke your teaching license. At the same time, the 100 god-slaying flogs will be carried out now. With the issue settled, Elder Mo waved his hands. Yes. Chao Xiong gritted his teeth. Even though he was unwilling to accept it, he knew that his fate was already sealed. Shang Bin, as a teacher, for your own benefits, you intentionally framed another teacher. Your teaching license will be suspended until further notice. After dealing with Chao Xiong, Elder Mo looked over at Shang Bin and Shang Chen. As for Shang Chen, as an elder, the head of the Education Bureau, not only did you not spare a consideration for other teachers, you intentionally made things difficult for them, even altering the results of the teacher qualification examination at your whim. You will be stripped of your position as an elder and the head of the Education Bureau. The issue will be reported to the Teacher Guild and a verdict will be passed down on your conduct. The elders from the Teacher Guild were of similar positions to the leaders from the Ministry of Education in Zhang Xian's previous world. They possessed the authority to revoke the position of the teachers of an academy. Elder Mo, seeing how we were friends for so many years, please spare me. Upon hearing the punishment, Shang Chen hurriedly said. At this moment, he felt his world crumbling. He was the one who got Elder Mo here. The initial intention was to have him strip Zhang Xian of his teaching license, yet, he only managed to crush his own legs with the boulder he moved. In the end, he was the one who was fired. Can the situation not be so damned? It's all your fault, you spoiled brat. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Looking at Shang Bin, he couldn't help but want to rush forward to send 2 kicks towards him to alleviate his rage. If not for this fellow being so adamant to bring trouble onto Zhang Xian, he wouldn't have gotten into trouble. Now, not only did the other party get away scot-free and he was relieved of his duty, most importantly of all, his reputation was in the gutters. It was to be expected that once the news of him oppressing other teachers and changing their results on a whim spread out, he would become a hated figure, one scorned by everyone else. He did not do it, but someone had to believe his words first. Of all people, you choose to do your own grandfather in. Spare you? Elder Shang, it is precisely because of our years of friendship that I have already spared you of your dignity. Otherwise, if I were to report you of oppressing your colleagues to the Teacher Guild, it is likely that you would be stripped of your teaching license as well. Elder Mo harumphed coldly. You better keep yourself in check from now on. Elder Shang knew what the other party was saying was true. Weakness surged through his body and he slumped onto the floor, sorrowful as though he had lost his parents. Zhang Laoshi, we have troubled you today. For such a scum to appear among the teachers is a negligence on the Teacher Guild's part. After dealing with the trio, Elder Mo turned to look at Zhang Xian with an apologetic look. Don't worry about it. It is normal for 1 or 2 degenerates to appear occasionally. Zhang Xian waved his hand to show that he wasn't bothered by it. Seeing his attitude, everyone felt impressed with him yet again. Did you see that? That is the magnanimity that a teacher should have. Great, then I will be returning to the guild to settle these matters. I will make sure to give Zhang Laoshi an explanation on the situation. After which, Elder Mo glared hatefully at Elder Shangchen for a moment before turning around to leave. Zhang Laoshi, let's go as well. You still have yet to teach me painting. At this moment, Chao Xiong was being beaten to the point of nearing death. Upon seeing the situation here had been settled, Bai Sun walked up to him with a grin. All right. Nodding his head, Zhang Xian walked out of the Enlightenment Will Tower along with the rest. To tell the truth, he barely scraped past the situation safely. Were it not for the Wang clan, Bai Sun and Huang Yi's timely arrivals, even if he could handle the situation, it would have taken him a lot of effort. Especially with the matter regarding Zhao Yinfeng. Actually, he wasn't entirely truthful about his situation. What Zhao Yinfeng suffered from wasn't innate sealed meridians, but innate narrow meridians. Innate narrow meridians, using the words of his previous life, meant that while others are an 8-car lane, you are a bicycle track. With such narrow meridians, it was natural that he would feel his body ripping apart when spiritual energy flowed through. In fact, his speed of cultivation would slow significantly, creating an upper limit onto his future achievements. However, there was an inherent difference between it and innate sealed meridians. The former, innate sealed meridian, was similar to having all kinds of nails along one's path, blocking the flow of spiritual energy entirely. On the other hand, innate narrow meridians, even though one's meridians were narrow, spiritual energy was able to flow through it, allowing one to cultivate without a problem. His cultivation going berserk did widen his narrow meridians, allowing him to cultivate even more easily. That was precisely the reason why his cultivation soared, allowing him to reach Jishi Realm Pinnacle. However, that incident also caused tremendous damage to his body. Jishi Realm Pinnacle was already his limit then. It was impossible for him to break through. In order to make it up for the other party, Zhang Xian made a move to help him break through. At the same time, he also cleared away the trauma his previous self had left in his body, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. At the very least, after this incident, no one would use this berserk incident against him anymore. As for how he successfully helped Zhao Yinfeng break through, actually the theory behind it was simple. After flipping through all the books in the Compendium Pavilion, he had already formed the 1 Dan, 2 Dan and 3 Dan of Heaven's Path Divine Art. After cultivating it himself last night, he was well aware of the correct method to breaking through. Furthermore, given the superior quality Zhenqi in his body, it wasn't a difficult task for him to guide the other party to walk on the correct path to break through. From now on, I am no longer in danger of being expelled. With the burden off his heart, he heaved a sigh of relief. After transcending over, he had been in danger of expulsion. Even after he accepted several students, he still felt as though there were ominous clouds looming over him. However, at this moment, this threat had been entirely removed. Walking out of the Enlightenment Will Tower, he gave permission for Wang Yan to listen in on his class, just like Wang Tao, and only then did the Wang clan leave. As for Zhao Yinfeng, he stared at Zhang Laoshi. Clearly, Zhang Xian's capabilities have moved him and he hoped to be accepted under his tutelage once more. However, Zhang Xian immediately rejected this suggestion. What a joke! I am a transcender with a golden finger, someone who will become a Mingshi sooner or later. If I allow people to come under me and leave as they please, wouldn't that trample on my dignity? My previous self had left you berserk, whereas I have made it up to you by helping you break into Fighter 2 Dan. Our grudges have been settled, and I don't want to touch on that ever again. Rejected by Zhang Xian, depression reflected on Zhao Yinfeng's face. However, after a while, he seemed to recall something and resolution appeared in his eyes once more. Turning around, he followed behind Wang Yan and left. Huang Yi Xiaojie, may I know how one becomes an associate master teacher? Walking along the way, Zhang Xian couldn't resist asking her. After this incident, he realized that the only way to create his own place in this world and to not be trampled over by others was to become a master teacher. To become a master teacher, one had to become an associate master teacher first. Associate master teacher is more like a way to address someone. Unlike master teacher, one doesn't need to be assessed for it. It mainly depends on luck. As long as a master teacher has set his eyes on you and invites you to be his assistant, then you are already considered an associate master teacher. Huang Yu explained. Oh. Zhang Xian nodded his head. Actually, this associate master teacher was similar to the associate professors in his previous life. Even though they did not wield true authority and they were more like a spokesperson, they represented the dignity of a master teacher and possessed esteemed standing in society. You are an associate master teacher, then that bookstore. Zhang Xian looked at her doubtfully. He was astonished to hear that Huang Yu is an associate master teacher. Previously, when he saw that she was able to freely walk in and out of Master Lu Chen's residence, he knew that her identity was extraordinary. Just that, he didn't expect her identity to be so extraordinary. Furthermore, as an associate master teacher, her identity was even more prestigious than the elders of Hongtian Academy. There was no reason for her to open a remote bookstore in the market. I happened to catch Lu Shi's eye and became his associate master teacher, but as I am still way too young, I require some experience so as to better earn the trust of others. As such, I listened to Lu Shi's orders and chose a packed commercial city to open a small store so as to nurture my character. At the same time, I am also able to read more and become more knowledgeable. Huang Yu explained. Shi is similar to Lao Shi, just a shorter version. Zhang Xian nodded his head. Peering into the truth of matters was a field of knowledge by itself, and building rapport was a skill with great depth. Never underestimate small shop owners. Sometimes, these were the people who have the greatest understanding of human personality, unrivaled even by experts and academics. Sometimes, the best way to understand human nature and temper oneself was to go to the very bottom. As the daughter of the Teacher Guild's leader, Huang Yu was born with a golden spoon in her mouth. The reason why Lu Shi had asked her to do so was to groom her, as well as to give her more worldly experience. After chatting for a while, he gained a certain degree of understanding towards master teachers and associate master teachers. In this world, the path of teachers was highly respected. Teachers were highly regarded, even much more so than in his previous life. What apothecary, blacksmith, appraiser. Of the numerous occupations in the upper 9 paths, none of them could compare with master teachers. However, that was to be expected. Whether it's about cultivation or any other occupations, one required a teacher to guide them along. If one didn't even respect their teachers, how could they possibly improve? Right, what is Master Lu Chen testing you all on, for you all to have to study under me? After comprehending the social position of teachers, Zhang Xian listed another one doubt that was lingering in his head. Bai Sun was the young son of Jinan Wang, whereas Huang Yu was the daughter of the guild leader of the Teacher Guild, not to mention that she herself was an associate master teacher. Logically speaking, given their social positions, there shouldn't be any need for them to be tested by anyone else. Master Lu Chen has a painting that he has hidden for countless years called the Ink Daylily Canvas. The both of us want it, that's why Master intentionally set such a difficult question to evaluate us. Huang Yu explained. Ink Daylily Canvas? Zhang Xian frowned. The one drawn by the master painter Mo Chenzi, Ink Daylily Canvas? Neither of you two understand paintings. Why would you want it? In the books Zhang Xian looked through in the Compendium Pavilion, there were many records of this Ink Daylily Canvas. It was said to be an artistic treasure left behind by a master painter a century ago. It was an incomparably valuable painting. It is a gift. Huang Yu blushed. Gift? Zhang Xian came to a realization. She and Bai Sun had set their eyes upon the Cinque de Lily canvas at the same time and requested Master Lu Chen for it. The master agreed to gift it to them, but the prerequisites for it was that they had to pass his test first. The supposed test should refer to appraisal of paintings. Master Zhang, you have such deep understanding of painting, capable of seeing through the problems in it with just a glance. Can you teach us? Bai Sun stared expectantly at him. Indeed, please teach us. Huang Yu also looked over. Teach you too? Visit novelbin.com for updates. The reason why he was able to appraise those paintings was due to the help of the Library of Heaven's Path. In reality, he didn't know a single thing about paintings, so how could he teach them? Looking at the expectant gazes of the two, Zhang Xian awkwardly scratched his head, unsure of what he should do. End of the first arc. Well, that's for this part, truckers. See you all in the next video.